the meeting of Midcoast Community. What have we done here? Okay. When it says turn,
You have to mute, the meeting room is also open.
have your volume turned all the way down.
I think. So, do you have to mute the meeting room on the computer?
Talking about me?
No, I'm talking about.
Pointing right.
So that is, it's not, the meeting room is not muted.
Of Midcoast Community Council for November the 12th of 2025. Connie, could you please call the roll?
Sure. Kevin,
Here.
Scott,
Here.
Kimberly,
Yes.
Claire,
Here.
Chris.
Here.
Connie. Yes, and Gus is the latest, yeah, right?
Right, he'll be here later.
Yeah.
First item on the agenda is reports from other government agencies. There will be no report for the Board of Supervisors tonight. But Captain Richard Chichoff is joining us, and we can make you a co-host, or I don't know if we need to. You don't have any visuals to show us, do you?
No, I don't.
Okay. I think you'll be fine right there then.
Okay, perfect. And thank you for your patience. Yeah,
Thank
as you probably, sorry?
Thank you for coming. I know you've had a busy day.
Oh, no, not at all. Not at all. I just regret I wasn't able to come there in person, but thank you for allowing me to attend virtually. So as you mentioned, so Ken Bender was sworn in as the sheriff about 2 hours ago. So he is the current
Wow.
sheriff of San Mateo County. So that going forward, and he will fill out the rest of the term. So essentially the next 3 years. And then we'll see what happens next election cycle. But in the meantime, this is where we're at. And please forgive me. If I go into too much detail, or if you want me to focus on something, please let me know. But as I'm sure you know, this sheriff's office. Yes, I see a hand.
Yeah, wait till you're done.
Oh, okay. No, I was going to say, as you know, the sheriff's office is divided into corrections, operations, and support services. Patrol is covered under operations. The Midcoast is what we refer to as the 70 beat, which encompasses everything north of Half Moon Bay to the Pacific border, and eastward to Highway 35. So, and in that we actually have 2 deputies that are permanently assigned to the Midcoast. I should say 2 deputies per shift. So 2 day shift teams, 2 night shift teams, 2 deputies each. And they share a supervisor with the city of Half Moon Bay, as well as me with the city of Half Moon Bay. And going over some of the numbers. So, and I'm just going to go through this really quick to give you an idea. If you would like, please let me know. I'm more than happy. I can produce an annual law enforcement report that has more detail. So, and forgive me again if I go into too much detail here, but so we transitioned from our previous crime reporting system, which was the UCR, or Uniform Crime Reporting System, to the national or California incident-based reporting system, otherwise known as CYBERS or NIBERS. And this changed the way that we record our crimes and the way it's statted. So we started it in September of 21. So the first full year of data was fiscal year 22-23. So when we're looking, we only have about 3 years of data, even that, and we're going to talk about it more in just a second, is a little tricky simply because that first fiscal year 22-23, we're still feeling the effects of COVID, and some things are counterintuitive, such as we tended to see more vehicle collisions and worse vehicle collisions, but at the same time, we saw less reporting of domestic violence. So a little bit counterintuitive. So we're now starting to get into a place where we're starting to get more meaningful data as we move forward. And also, these can be sensitive to small sample sizes, which we'll discuss in just a second. So one of the things that first came up is I was trying to pull the statistics for our response times, and for some reason we have them mixed into the Skyline corridor. So I will have to parse that out and I get back to you with more detailed information. However, this last fiscal year, which ended on June 30th, we had 4,778 calls for service. The previous year, it was 5,521. So we did have about a 13% decline. Original reports, this last fiscal year, 519. It was 469 the year before. So a slight increase of about 11%. One of the things that caught my eye as we were going through this was violent crime reports. And this is where small sample sizes come in, because the last fiscal year we had 14. The year before that was 5. So that is almost triple. However, if we stretch back to fiscal year 22-23, there was 23 violent crimes. So we see a dip in the year before last. So, and that's something that I'll be reaching out to our crime analysts to see if, again, because this is a small sample size, if this is just an outlier or if this is something that we need to track. And again, we see the arrests associated with violent crimes is also small sample size, and there is a great fluctuation. So last fiscal year, we had 7. And by the way, that just includes at the time, this doesn't include arrests made subsequent to investigation, warrants, et cetera, and so forth. These are just arrests at the time. So 7 last year and 1 the year before. And the year before that, it was 11. So again, we're seeing a huge fluctuation, small sample size, and we'll be looking into that to see if the previous fiscal year 23-24 was an outlier, or if this is something that we need to address. Property crimes, last fiscal year 24, the year before 37, so a decrease of 35%. And again, I'd be hesitant to point to anything until we start getting more data, because that's just too big of a number. I'd like to see what next year's data comes back on that. And property crime arrests, 9 property crime arrests last year. Previous was 8, so about steady. Excuse me. DUIs, we made 56 DUI arrests last year compared to 24 the year before, and that's actually reflected out of the coast. We've gotten a couple people that are very proactive in DUI enforcement, and the number of arrests they're making is truly remarkable. We've actually had a few people get more arrests than CHP, which is very uncommon, but they're very proactive and they're really looking for it. Last year, issued a total of 773 citations on the Midcoast, compared to the previous year, 538. That's a good increase. And unfortunately, I can't report on traffic collisions because that is really held by the CHP. And I won't go too much into some of the new equipment that we have on the horizon that we're exploring. Instead, I'd rather address a couple things that I know are probably on people's minds. First off is going to be RVs. So the sheriff's office has been working in conjunction with a multidisciplinary team out of the CEO's office, the county CEO's office, which includes health services, advocates for the unhoused, as well as enforcement and a county attorney. And we've worked out a process. It's been a long time because it gets very complicated, because RVs fall somewhere between a vehicle and a residence. And while we do have some guiding case law, it hasn't been taken up by the Supreme Court or anybody that can give us truly definitive guidance. So unfortunately, we're trying to work our way through. The previous administration of the sheriff's office had defunded the community service officer's position on the Midcoast. I've been working with Supervisor Mueller, who has been amazingly supportive and incredibly helpful in terms of getting us all the assistance, the support, and making things happen. We will be filling that position. And in case you don't know, so this community service officer is really the person who goes around um, from a day-to-day basis. They can handle, minor incident reports, crime reports with no suspect information. But in regards to RVs, they do a lot of the citations. They lay a lot of the groundwork, as well as when it comes time to actually remove RVs, they're the ones who actually are there for the process. They fill out the paperwork, they coordinate with the tow company, get it removed. So they're a critical part of dealing with the RV problems on the coast. Um, so, like I said, we're in the process of getting that position filled. In the meantime, unfortunately, the contract we had with the towing company, it didn't include sufficient storage time that the most current case law requires. So, with the help of the county CEO's office, we're amending the contract so that we can hopefully, after December, begin towing vehicles again. That's going to be on the December 9th agenda for the Board of Supervisors. And once that passes, we'll be able to start towing vehicles again. And in case you're wondering, the way this works is generally we identify people that are unhoused in RVs. We attempt to get them services. We have advocates that come out, attempt to get them places, and they can actually give them preferential spots in whatever they suit their needs. Actually, there was a family living out of an RV. I think it was 3 people, and they managed to get them into a house in San Mateo. So that's the first step, is trying to put people into a position where they have longer term housing, trying to get them to programs so that they can get back on their feet and stand on their own. Unfortunately, some people take a little more encouragement than others, and that's where we're getting into now. Um, so far, we have managed to get everybody into services, but I expect that we'll be seeing that to be not the case in the near future, especially because, as I'm sure you've heard, San Francisco is going to be clearing out the area around around Lake Merced. I can't believe I'm blanking on San Francisco State. So we expect to see a number of those RVs coming down to the coast side. So luckily, we've gotten the last piece in this puzzle is going to be that contract, which should be signed next month. I should say the amendment, which should be signed next month. So we appreciate your patience. It's just one of those things where this has been a challenge, not just for us, for every jurisdiction, because it's really, there's not a lot of legal guidance. We're trying to respect people's rights. We're trying to do the right thing. But at the same time, we all know there's certain problems, such as the trash, human waste disposal, and other problems that come with these RVs. So I just wanted to throw that out there. So I'm guessing that's going to be a good chunk of the questions. Also, with the fireworks, we have had a few leads. We've talked to some people, and it does seem, at least from our side, that the reports of fireworks complaints have gone down. It's a little bit higher than last year, but only by a few. And it does look like it's tapering off. So I would encourage people to please let us know. If you do hear fireworks, if you hear explosions, please call. Even if we're not able to catch them, and I've talked about this with a lot of people, is that it's very difficult simply because people tend to be on dirt bikes. We've got video of them, people on e-bikes and dirt bikes, even on foot. By the time we get the complaint and we get a deputy on scene, it's very difficult. We're really behind the power curve. But what the calls do, even if we can't catch them at the time, it allows us to start tracking where and when they're setting off the fireworks. And we are moving towards a couple ideas, which in the first was the use of drones, which I've raised with the city of Half Moon Bay. And at some point, I will probably raise the Midcoast. I have no intention to do anything because I know drones are a very sensitive topic, and I completely understand. I completely relate to that. And before we did anything like that, it would definitely come before you. It would go to the public. I'd want to get feedback. And because if people aren't comfortable with it, then we're not going to do it, period. People shouldn't feel that they live in a police state. And like I said, if drones makes them feel that way, we'll just keep trying other alternatives. So I was going to address that very quickly, like I said. Some of the new tech which you can expect to see in the near future, which is going to be nice, is we're bringing a system called Star Chase online. I don't know if you know this, but one of the we've had a number of pursuits come out of the coast, and generally what we've done is we tend to disengage when it becomes too dangerous to the public, especially when weighing all the factors. Star Chase actually allows us to essentially launch a GPS tracker onto the vehicle. So we can simply back off, monitor it, and then just coordinate, watch them where they go, and coordinate in when they finally stop. That, my understanding, is the ACLU has fully vetted it. They're completely okay with it as long as it's used properly. Now we're just waiting on the policies to get approved, which with the new sheriff will hopefully be shortly. We are getting, well, I shouldn't say that. We've gotten, sorry?
Go ahead, I'm sorry, I thought you were pausing. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I don't know, you probably won't notice it because it's a pretty subtle difference. We have gotten new body worn cameras, which do have some new feature sets that we're looking at, including the ability to watch an officer's camera in real time. There's also a GPS component, which we're testing, we're looking at. And one of the more interesting things is the new body worn cameras actually have the ability to connect with a translator and offer real-time translation on scene, which is something that we're examining also, which could be a huge boon, as you can only imagine. And also, as silly as this may sound, we are in the process of getting iPhones. The advantage of this is there's actually a couple things. One is because the iPhones have been vetted and they meet the security requirements required by the Department of Justice, we can access criminal and government records. So in other words, if we contact somebody and they give us a false name, we can pull up that photo, whether it's by our internal records or DMV records, to confirm who they are without simply having to trust them, which, as you can imagine, can make things fairly complicated. I know I myself have been called because I've stopped people. They gave me a false name. I didn't know it. Next thing you know, somebody's got a warrant for their arrest and they've done nothing wrong because somebody gave their name. So this should help prevent that in the future. And also, one of the nice things about the iPhones too is it'll give us a good phone number that we can provide the public. So when we talk to somebody, we can give them a number to reach our deputies directly. So that's something we're also looking forward to, and that is in the process. I think we've actually made the purchase of the first batch, and they're setting up a schedule to start issuing them. So hopefully those will be on the street soon. Some of the other stuff, I won't go into too much detail because I'm guessing that you're already familiar with a lot of the work that the Community Engagement Unit and SAL does. But yeah, that's kind of the nutshell, the summary of what's going on with us. Is there anything in particular you wanted to ask about, or that I could? I may not have the information right now. I
Well,
can get the
it's
information to get
pretty
back to you if I don't.
exciting. Pretty exciting news, Captain Ciso. I think we do have some questions, but I would ask that people, if he's already addressed what you wanted to ask about, that you hold them or make them very brief, because this is not a full agenda item, and we'd like to kind of reserve the time. Start with Scott.
Okay, so Captain Chikoff, I would just like to ask if you could stay to agenda item number 2 of today's meeting. And that's going to be a presentation that I'm going to give on RVs on the coast. And you kind of covered a lot of things that I'm going to say. And maybe you could add something at the very end. So, and also, if you have any questions about RVs that the captain has talked about, can we wait till after agenda number 2 to talk about them?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Kimberly?
Yes, one thing popped out at me. You mentioned the use of drones, and I'd like to follow up with you about that because there are several aspects to that trouble me. One is that we have a general problem with the public using drones in places like the Marine Reserve, which impacts the seals and other wildlife. And if they crash, they can also be a hazard in the water. So, I'd like to talk with you about that aspect of it, as well as how you're intending to use them, because it does give me pause.
Oh no, absolutely. I completely understand your concerns, and that's why I was saying that it's an idea and one that I would want to fully vet and get community input and discuss thoroughly before we did anything. I mean, not only because there, like you said, there's multiple aspects, or how does it affect the wildlife, but also, how does it make people feel? And it may sound less important, but I mean, people have a right to feel secure in their homes, and if drones make them feel, not secure, then we shouldn't do it. It's like a lot of things. This is why, we talk, this is why we work together. But yeah, and like I said, that's why I was saying, this is an idea that has come up. It's nothing that we've done or we're going to do without community input and without a thorough discussion.
Thank you. I really appreciate you coming to our meetings and appreciate that you're so communicative with the community. So thank you so much.
Kevin?
Thank you. Thanks, Captain Chichov. Is it Chichov or Chikov?
Cheap job, but
Chichov. All right. Well, thank you for your time today. I appreciate you being here. I'm not a proponent of drones, but I am a proponent of some of the other ideas that have been floated on social media and at meetings. The idea of cameras being placed in positions where they're not filming a person's home, but are getting traffic ongoing, traffic coming and going up and down the hills. There's been a fairly substantial increase in motorbike activity, kids on e-bikes, a lot of just like noisy bike riding through neighborhood streets. And I wonder if that is as controversial as drones. I am completely willing to let your response come in form of an email if that's more acceptable and time saves time. But that is an idea that has been floated. And then the other thing is regarding to the trailers, when you said that there are other services that go out in addition to just policemen, I'm assuming part of that is mental health service provision and being able to gauge if somebody is there who is not mentally well, to be able to have discussions that are guided by professionals who can deal with that nuance.
oh, absolutely. I mean, oh, sorry.
For the RVs, yes.
Oh yeah, yeah. So yeah, no, absolutely. That's a critical component. I mean, unfortunately, people with mental illness are overrepresented in both the unhoused population and unfortunately as well as the criminally justice involved. It's unfortunate, and I think I'm going to go out on a limb here and assume that we're all on the same sheet of music, that treatment and prevention is far better than punishment, because what do you hope to punish somebody who has mental illness? It's not an intentional act. And that's why the mental health component is a critical part of it, getting people into a position that they can, hopefully, I'm hesitant to say get the help they need because it's so difficult. I've had friends that have suffered with mental illness, and it's not just a question of getting them in touch with services, it's getting them to a point where they can really engage. And whether that means medication, whether that means having somebody to talk to, it's different for every
Especially if it's a
person.
barrier to getting them into housing, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. Because they have to, I mean, sometimes that they can get them into housing where they don't have to be in communal living, but a lot of the housing is communal living. They have to be able to live in that environment. So that is definitely a huge part. I'm sorry, I don't mean to go off on one single topic, but it's critically important. It's a growing problem that we're seeing more and more of. And I think the thing that I find encouraging is that the CEO's office has been really on point with this about recognizing that these are people who have a medical problem and they need help. We've gotten away from the 70s where it was treating it like it was a criminal offense, and I think that's a good thing. That's a more long-term solution. And going back to the cameras for the bicycles, it's interesting you mentioned that because I was actually just talking to somebody about that the other day. More so about because there have been several complaints about the RVs offloading gray and black water, and somebody had suggested that. But again, I think that's one of those things when we talk about putting cameras in the public, that we need to engage with the community and talk to yourselves and your constituents. And again, we need to make sure that people are comfortable with these things because nobody wants to live in a police state.
We have neighbors, not constituents, but yes.
So, you guys are okay?
My apologies.
No, that's it. I would like to take up,
Slip in.
hold on a second.
Okay.
Before you, now I'm sidetracked here. You're speaking about mental illness and whatnot. At some point, not tonight, I think I'd like to hopefully devote some time to what we have here to replace the CARES program. And I think it's a great loss to the community, and hopefully we can put that on a further agenda in the future. I know we have one person here from in the audience who wants to ask a question. That's Sidian.
Please.
And then we'll close this.
Is this the microphone for the podium right here?
Yep.
Hi, actually have several questions. I thought you were going to be here in person, so couple of questions on the coastside log is, I noticed, and it might have been during Sheriff Corpus's time, there was quite a few lag times when we were trying to look up and see all the reportings of the fireworks, illegal fireworks, when they were called in, and there weren't any logs for that. So they were happening almost every weekend since June. And so if you think they were going down, they weren't. And I wanted to know how many ALPRs are being employed on the coast side right now. Do you know?
I believe there are 15. We're talking the entire San Mateo County coast side.
Okay, so, and some of them, are they
But you
mounted
can
on
also go,
police cars, or are they all fixed? I saw one on a sheriff's car at once.
yeah, we actually did have 2 that were mounted on vehicles. And I believe those actually had a mechanical problem.
Okay.
So those aren't in service currently.
Well, I'm in favor of those because I think they helped catch the stolen cars and stuff. So as far as the illegal fireworks, and you mentioned that the coastal trail, those were dirt bikes coming in. They think they were teenagers. They're coming and going on the coastal trail. And you mentioned something called Star Chase. Is that something that they can deploy along the coastal trail and launch GPS trackers that way too? Or is that only for vehicles?
Yeah, I'm afraid that's only going to be for vehicles, simply because anytime you're launching a projectile, you want it to hit an object and not a person.
Okay, and as far as traffic control on the entire coast side, we do tend to get a lot of gridlock, especially when there's a lot of visitors. So a long time ago, the sheriff's department used to have like a youth group. I don't know if they call them Sea Scouts, but it was like the Sea Scouts, and they helped the main sheriffs on weekends for controlling intersections. Do you still have anything like that that could help with traffic? Yeah, youth group that would be like junior patrollers.
We do have explorers, and I can reach out to them and see if they're available for something like that. I haven't heard that idea before, but thank you. I'll look into it.
I mean, I think it's a good way to engage youth and get them involved and also get our traffic moving. That's just a thought, because especially with Half Moon Bay, and they're under contract and they're kind of on the, you know, thin side is financially. But we have it here on the Midcoast up by the beach too. That's just my thought. I used to be involved when we had the fireworks show and we used the, yeah, I'm gonna try. You mentioned that it wasn't legal for I think there's the Supreme Court passed the grants passed Oregon thing to clear encampments, so I think maybe they could clear the RVs if they're camping out illegally and leaving trash. And as far as the drones go, I think Stonestown just caught some retail thieves, so that's pretty good. The only last thing I want to know is if the sheriff department gets involved with dogs on leashes on the trails, because, I mean, off-leash dogs. There's been an incident recently where a cyclist was injured pretty severely, and you know, I've seen other postings on Nextdoor about the dogs, and people complaining that people aren't leashing their dogs on the trails. Does the sheriff's department respond to those kind of complaints or not?
We do respond, but again, those things tend to be, you know, by the time we get to the trail, the people are gone. We have to rely on the information that we have. So, but what I can't look into is seeing, especially if we get another community service officer, of having somebody that's permanently in the area that can be closer to respond when those things do happen.
So what about the coastside log? Do you have something new that's coming out, or is the coastside log it for checking on, you know, what's been happening in the sheriff's department and what gets recorded as far as the calls going into the dispatch?
So that, I mean, to be perfectly honest, it's not the most robust thing in the world, as I'm sure you know. We have a contract with a vendor to provide a more robust transparency portal that can get you better information, more detailed information, more complete information. I was just talking to our director of tech services today. Unfortunately, we don't have a definitive timeline. They're hoping in the next couple months. I wish I had a better answer for you. I wish I could give it to you right now. Unfortunately, I don't have that.
And the very last question.
No, you've gone over 5 minutes.
Okay, but I wanted to ask him about
You can ask
ladders.
me later.
No, Ladris, can you come back for an important thing? Emergency evacuation. You're supposedly the only person test driving Ladris for our area. So I thought you were gonna be here in person and gonna show us how you're doing it for the coast side. Will you come back? Ladris, do you know what that is? The AI
I'll
software?
be more than happy to come back.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's
Okay, thank you very
our
much.
emergency management.
I asked DEM and they said you're the one test driving.
Okay. So it's definitely noted for a future agenda. And I appreciate you coming and helping us out with the latest, and we welcome you back anytime that you're able to come. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll move on to
Yeah, no problem at all. Thank you.
Yeah. We'll move on to public comment. Before we do public comment, I have one announcement. The Board of Supervisors is gathering information about what the needs and problems are for childcare in the county. We've asked them to come to the coast side. They have agreed to do so. They will be holding a town hall next Wednesday, the 19th, at the library at Half Moon Bay from 6 to 7:30. Anybody who's got any interest in childcare is cordially invited to come and explore options. So we'll move on to public comment. Public comment is limited to 3 minutes. We'll start with Dave Shore.
Good evening and thank you. I'm here representing Friends of Half Moon Bay Parks and Recreation with an update on something that's very exciting for the entire coast and the entire coastal region of San Mateo County. The school board has allocated $13.5 million out of the bond measure that was passed a few years ago towards rehabbing the swimming pools at the high school, taking it from a shallow, non-legal for competition pool to a large 25 by 40 meter pool plus a second pool new facilities for public access. There's a lot up in the air about this. I sent through to Claire 2 documents that we've got prepared. One is the feasibility study that was funded by the Friends, and the other is a fact sheet that we've got. I unfortunately ran out of those in hard copy. And my ask to the Midcoast Council is a letter of support for the concept that the public should have access to the improved aquatic facilities. If nothing happens, but they improve the facilities at the high school, that's great for the school and that's not a loss. But we've got an opportunity now to leverage the seed money of nearly $14 million with what will be necessary as additional funding for additional facilities, completing the conceptual design that's in the feasibility study, because that was just an idea that they put on paper to get some numbers. And then more importantly, ongoing operations. Running public access for a swimming pool is not a trivial matter. We just did a field trip up to Pacifica. They've got a full-time aquatics manager, 35 part-time lifeguards through the course of the year, a robust swim lesson program. It costs about $650,000 to provide public access for a year there, a large portion of which is offset by gate fees and swim lesson fees. But none of this infrastructure, none of this organization exists right now. So the letter of support from the MCC is something that we can bring to the county, and we've reached out to 12 or 15 similar organizations on the coast. That goes to Ray Mueller, which gives him the leverage with his colleagues to say this is something worthwhile, because it's not just for Half Moon Bay or the high school. This is something that the intention is to make it open to the residents of the coast side. So again, Claire, with this information to you guys, I believe there's a draft letter being worked into the process. It's being agendized for your next meeting, I believe.
We need to talk about it. We're
Yeah.
planning to consider putting a letter on the next agenda.
That would be fantastic. There are meetings ongoing between the school district, the city of Half Moon Bay, and the county as of this week. So we want to make sure that the concerns of your neighbors are heard, and what you see as the benefits for the folks in the El Granado.
Did you send these through to the MCC?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's there in electronic copy as well. I know it's not on agenda. If there's any quick questions, happy to take it. My contact information is in the fact sheet, and I'm available anytime to answer questions on this. It's a very exciting thing for the coast,
Awesome.
and we're hoping that it really comes to fruition quickly.
Thank you.
Thanks.
It said that's coming out of the bond from the school bond.
So we have 2 people online with public comment. Is there anybody else in the room with public comment?
There, we do have a community event that is being sponsored by Google Farmers. Can I?
Yeah, that's an announcement. I was thinking that we probably should do that.
Okay.
Let me get the public comment done and then we'll
Sure.
do the announcement. Greg?
Thanks, Claire. I wanted to fill you in on the wildfire hazard, the Caltrans wildfire hazard in Montero Moss Beach, and make 2 requests, one of the council and one of the community. Caltrans has cleared a bunch of low-hanging stuff, mostly around properties they own, but they've not still published a plan. They indicate they're now going to clear trees on a 2-block stretch of Drake, which is within 100 feet of homes. However, there are hundreds of homes adjacent to the 100 acres in that forest. And that forest also includes the primary wells and tanks, the water supply for our water district, MWSD. We have the support from MWSD in writing. We've been working with Ray and Marisol. We've decided to segregate the transfer of ownership of that bypass and make that a separate issue. MWSD has offered to take it over, maintain it, but we're not going to wait for that. We need to get a waiver. Somebody has to apply for a waiver so that we can get a CEQA exemption to clear this stuff. The state of emergency that Newsom passed expires in December of this year. And we need an agency, either Caltrans or the Coastside Fire Protection District or somebody in the county, to file a waiver request. It's a simple online process with over 103 approved waivers in the state, and most of them, but not all, are filed by local fire protection districts. So if the MCC could provide a letter to Caltrans and the Board of Supervisors in support of our efforts and in support of the resolution that Ray, I expect, will bring to the November 18th Board of Supervisors meeting, that would be appreciated. We could provide a template letter. Also, another request is if members of the public can attend the Board of Supervisors meeting and speak in support of the resolution on November 18th, that would be appreciated. One of us will post a notice on Nextdoor and email the MCC once we know the details of, whether the resolution's on. And thank you for your time.
Thank you for your time. If you want to reach out to me or some of the other people on the council and explain exactly what you need, that would be helpful. So I'll look forward to talking to you. Okay,
Thank you, Claire.
okay. Dan?
Yes, hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. I just wanted to kind of go over, just quickly kind of review of the Burnham Strip meeting, Monday, October 27th, the county's Ray Miller's office. I know Kevin was there, but I just wanted everybody to know that it was about 75 to 100 people. It seemed like there were about 50 people spoke. Not one person spoke in favor of the Burnham Strip parking lot, and even Supervisor Ray Mule acknowledged this to me and Melinda McNaughton. The Harbor District General Manager showed an alternative parking plan as a result of that what's now over close to 1,200 signatures on the petition, and all of the community members that have spoken at the MCC and the other public meetings in opposition to this. So there was a new alternative, and it was shown. Afterwards, it was discovered in very fine print that there's an element that will create a wall of 15 RVs from Sam's to that little small greenhouse at the top of the hill next to Sea Lot. So no surprise that there's a lot of confusion, a lot of concern with the Harbor District's history of trying to fast track and make it difficult for community members to make comments and know what's going on. There's been regular changing of elements, changing of reasons for incomplete reasons for the need of the parking lot. And then recently they changed the name of the same parking lot. So, this last plan is a draft plan, and so we just don't know what's coming next around the corner. So
You're at 3 minutes, Dan.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Now we'll close public comment, and I think Kevin has an announcement.
Thank you for allowing me to speak, Claire. So I wanted to announce that Coastside Allies has been working really at a fast pace and have entered into an MOU with Mila Salka. She is with Manzanita Works and have created the outline of a granting program for this entire community for those who are living on limited incomes, without funds, veterans, seniors, and the like, to clear the thoroughfares that are direct emergency getaway pass-throughs. So that's El Granada Boulevard. There's part near Quarry Park. We've gotten the grant resource open. We had a meeting with Nicholas Calderon and Ray Mueller, who have given us some items to move us closer to an MOU with the county. It would be a spectacular thing. We're talking about the tree-lined lots that are in between homes that may home harden and kind of negate the insurance underwriting of said home if, say, they home harden, but both houses flanking them are filled with eucalyptus trees, etc. So we're very excited about that. And then in addition to that, Coastside Allies went to the GCSD and asked them to not only back but co-endorse El Granada Festive. So it would be the first event specific to El Granada, welcoming all of the unincorporated coastside communities to a series of events that takes place during the holiday month of December. The first night is the 19th. An invitation to Ray Mueller to speak at that event is there. That would be a formal tree lighting, carolers. They'll take place. The Harbor District has given the space space that abuts the post office to us for free. So we're grateful for that. So we'll have a tree lighting ceremony. We will have carolers. We will have a stage for live performances, food trucks, cookies, pies, everything that you can think of. We will have tabling for multiple vendors. On the first night is going to be for community-based organizations only. So we're hoping that the MCC will table at that event along with GCSD. Senior Co-Siders is the benefactor, or is it benefactee? Let's get confused. They're the ones that are getting the money. So we have, to date, we've raised over $6,000. Co-Side Allies stepped up and gave $1,500, and we asked GCSD to match, and Michelle Dragon, out of the kindness of her heart, and with Co-Side Buzz, has also donated and become a producer. And we have a lot of sponsors who are very interested in this. On the last night, the 24th, it's been suggested that we try to seek the license to do a champagne toast with our neighbors and community members and toast in the new year. So we're very excited about it and look forward to hopefully having some formal involvement with the MCC.
Thank you.
Where's it gonna be located?
The space next to the post office,
Outdoors.
outdoors.
Okay, so we will move on to the consent agenda. We have 2 items of the consent agenda. The minutes for October 8th and October 22nd.
I make a motion to approve both October 8th and October 22nd minutes. Second.
Wait,
Well,
there's only one set of minutes posted,
Oh, it's October 8th.
October 8th.
I thought I was looking at 2, but October 8th.
okay, so
October 8th.
I'm not sure what happened. We'll look into that. But
That's my fault. I'm
well,
sorry. I didn't get to
well,
post the second.
we can approve them. So for the approval of the minutes for October 8th,
I motion to approve the minutes for October 8th.
second. Gus?
Yep.
Okay. Can you call the roll, please, Tyler? Kevin?
Yes.
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 Claire? Yes. Gus? Yes. Chris?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so that passes. We'll move on to the regular agenda. The first big item on the regular agenda is a report from the San Mateo County Transportation Authority and CCAG. We have with us tonight Patrick Gilster. And I think you'll need to be made a co-host. He's already done it. We're way ahead of me. That's great. Patrick is the Director of Planning and Fund Management for San Mateo County Transportation Authority. And they have some new ideas and projects in the works that they're going to share with us.
All right, there we go. Good evening, everyone. As mentioned, I'm Patrick Gilster, the Director of Planning and Fund Management. It's been a little over a year since I've been back out here talking about regional transit connections, one of our measure programs. But we're excited to be supporting the City and County Association of Governments of San Mateo County, CCAG, our Council of Governments that does a lot of the policy side of transportation here in the county, and partnering with them and helping to fund the new vision for the countywide transportation plan. The last one was adopted in 2017. So we're just getting on that 10-year horizon to be ready to adopt the next vision, kind of 10 years later. So give a quick overview. Okay, let me drop that one down.
I don't think we can move the people out of scope. Is that what you're asking to say?
Oh, I thought that was on my side.
It's covering up your whole slide show though. You know, we can see that pretty well. Oh, thank you. That's nice.
There you go. It's fixed.
Thank you.
All right. So we're here talking about that one to go with. There we go. The purpose of the countywide transportation plan, giving an overview of how we currently move in San Mateo County. and looking ahead for 2050, which is the new horizon year for the next countywide transportation plan. And I'll talk a little bit about what's next for both of our agencies. So as mentioned, I'm here tonight representing two different agencies. We are currently dividing and conquering all of the presentations, talking to every transportation related committee, and for the county, any community councils or all of the community councils, since pedestrian and bicycle advisory committee for the county as well. So CCAG provides a collaborative forum for all jurisdictions in San Mateo County to pursue goals for safe, equitable, and accessible multimodal transportation network. They developed the large, giant countywide plans like the Comprehensive Bike and Pedestrian Plan and the Countywide Transportation Plan. They manage the federal funds that trickle down through the region to the county. And then the Transportation Authority, on our side, we manage the Measure A and W transportation sales taxes here in the county. So our local half-cent sales taxes that fund, plan, and provide technical assistance to help us deliver transportation projects and programs across the county. So our funds go anything to capital projects, to Samtrans, to Caltrain, paratransit, and different transportation demand management programs, whole host of things across the county.
Did you say you were CCAG?
I'm the Transportation Authority. Gus gets to see me every month. And we're grateful for that. So as I mentioned, I'll touch briefly on the purpose of the CTP. So most people probably don't know what our countywide transportation plan is. So it actually helps us really create that high level vision for the future of transportation in the county, sets our larger priorities that helps our agencies guide our funding decision making. Many of the things that are identified in here are those large scale types of projects or programs that we then communicate upward to the region, to the Metropolitan Transportation Commission, which oversees all 9 Bay Area counties. And then we use that to create our regional transportation plan and program. So that all goes into our air quality conformance guidance and all of that as well. So the CTP is an umbrella for many of our more detailed plans. So this is not something that's going to get into the nitty gritty of the bike lane is over here or something like that necessarily. All of those types of things kind of trickle out of this plan and come as updates following this plan when we have the new vision. So CCAG has a congestion monitoring program. So they look at traffic operations across the county and on the major highways and the freeways. They developed a local road safety plan and chapters for all of the different cities and across the county. So looking at how our roadways for any type of user can be improved to look at proactive safety measures. Greenhouse gas mitigations and vehicle miles traveled. It also includes things like the Caltrain business plan, the active transportation program, different land use elements, so a whole host of different goals. But what we wanted to talk about too was when we took a look back from both of our agencies to what are those mega projects, those big things that have been accomplished since the last plan was developed in 2017. It's anything from the US 101 express lanes to the Caltrain Peninsula Electrification Project, which is out on the corridor now, and then the 101 Smart Corridor plan. So that's an intelligent transportation system that if an accident happens on 101 and shuts down, it can guide folks around that on local roads, which is mainly onto El Camino Real and around on the bay side of the county. So the CTP process, we're just kicking off at the start. So wanted to come out here to talk to you all before we start defining what our vision and our goals is for this plan. So I'll talk a little bit later about how there are a whole host of plans that have done community engagement. So instead of going out and asking people the same questions we've done for the last 5 years, we're really going to all of you all as the representatives of our communities across the county to figure out what are you still seeing as the most important thing so we can validate what we're seeing there. And then those takeaways from all of the different councils and committees across the county will be how we look at developing what that next vision and goals is, and we'll come back with that next spring. Over the winter, we'll be developing strategies and actions, so kind of all the things that come out of that to say what types of programs do we want to pursue based on what the interests are in the county for the next 30, 25 years. What year is it today? 2025. And then we'll be working with all of the county agencies all the cities in the county to generate a giant transportation project list of all the different things folks have addressed over the last 5 years, and looking at how those align with the new CTP vision and goals. And then come late next year, we'll be drafting the plan and adopting that towards the end of the year. I did want to touch on that. As I mentioned, we're just at the beginning of the plan, getting the initial feedback, but we'll have another few touch points where we'll be back over the course of the next year and asking you all to share out more or provide more guidance to us. So looking ahead to kind of the spring summer timeframe is when we're going to be reporting back to everyone, like I said, on those vision goals and how those align with all the different projects. And then releasing the draft plan. Right now we say summer 2026. I'm guessing it's going to be fall 2026, but trying to keep it right before the end of this year. So all of this information will feed back into MTC's update of the regional transportation plan. Go to the next slide. There we go. So some of the key outcomes for this CTP update. So we took a look at things that worked well in the last plan and things that did not work well. And so we are, this one keeps, yes, computer, we know.
I think that's on
that computer. Okay.
Yeah.
So there are a whole host of things we worked well that we did in the last plan. The last plan did a lot of goals, a lot of guidance. It kind of tried to do too much. Is that one mine or?
Does it show up on your screen?
That's you.
That's you then.
Just hit maybe later.
It shows.
It's not doing mine.
There's an X on yours.
Oh, no. Yeah,
Is it
it's
on?
not responding to me.
Here, hold on. Maybe it is on here. Here, hold on.
Do you need to say okay to recording? Is that what it's asking you to do?
No, what's up? It's
Maybe later.
Let's go back to this. There we go. Okay.
Nice one. Excellent.
Love computers when they're like, let's just restart in the middle of your presentation.
Updating your version takes.
Or right when you get on a call, it's like, let's crash everything. So we're going to be taking a look at how we develop a more practical plan. So focusing on our different goals to make them very transportation focused, and then identifying what co-benefits are out after that as well for our plans. Looking ahead to the next 25 years of what anticipating different technology changes we should be aware of and what other types of advancements we're going to be looking at. How we better coordinate things to coordinate funding across the county, advance equity, and how we create simpler ways to measure our progress. So first I'll touch on so how we move in San Mateo County, and then I'll ask you a few questions to get your feedback. But these are just a sampling of some of the things that have happened over the last 3 to 5 years across the county that gave us a lot of different public feedback that our consultants have aggregated for us. But it's anything from the regional plan Bay Area 2050 to Reimagine Samtrans to Caltrain's basis planning surveys to the transportation authorities, different studies, the community-based transportation plans, whole host of things go into every single one of them. But out here on the coast, they get there together, made Coast Side TDM plan, the most recent one, I believe, that was adopted earlier this year. So taking those takeaways and aggregating those across the county. So in total, there was about 30,000 different resident responses that were engaged through all of those different types of engagement things, engagement efforts. And they had all different sorts of methods, from online surveys, employer surveys, in-person events, pop-ups, workshops, advocacy meetings, CBO involvement, whole host of different languages tailored across the county. So it really had a pretty large reach. At the highest level, what we're seeing is many folks are still driving alone throughout the county, but we do have a good number of people who carpool here. When we take a look at commute to work, a lot of the data is still commute to work data, even though we know that is only a fraction of the trips we make during the day. It is just what the US Census measures and asks questions on. So that's often why you hear about why we're always looking at commute to work. That's just the biggest population or the biggest data set that we have. So the journey to work side, people in San Mateo County are traveling about 20 miles to work, almost half an hour each way to get to and from work. A lot of people are leaving the county for work, a little over half, and then still about a tenth are also leaving for different social and entertainment events as well. So we are largely part of the region and our two counties to the north and to the south, especially. What we're hearing in terms of regional connections and how we're looking at traveling across the county. In the blue side of that is really how people are traveling now, and in the red is how they would like to travel if things were better. So a lot of people would like to travel more by train or by bus or by ferry, and would like to drive less if we had better options that were out there and, to assist with that. And that could also include shuttles as well. Yeah. And those are the things we'll be asking at the end. As you're all very familiar with the roadway network out here, it's primarily with Highway 1 and the highway system on 92. As part of our network, we really look at some of our major freight opportunities near SFO and the Port of Redwood City. On the bay side, US 101 is our primary freight corridor as well, but 92 and 1 are the primary arteries out here. And then we know too that the travel patterns on the coast side don't match on the bay side. You have different weekend bottlenecks and event bottlenecks out here that create different access issues when it comes to emergency getting out as well. Emergency access, that's the word I was looking for. Needed to go to the next slide. So what we're hearing across the county, traffic congestion on 101, I'm sure is no shock to folks on the bay side. The 101-92 interchange is still the highest requested area for improvement across the county and all of those different things. But we know weekend congestion, emergency access, like I said, are major coastside concerns.
We're only laughing because we can't even leave our houses on the weekends.
We have staff that live here too that tell me all the same things. But some specific locations, just as examples, are for improvement that have been identified are El Camino, Highway 1, Hillsdale, Holly, a whole bunch of different major arterials in the county. What we've heard is we've done a lot of the low-hanging fruit projects, and we now have these pretty big roadway projects that need traffic relief and multimodal safety and operations to get to address across the county. So people are also saying that driving feels useful and really the most reliable option across the county still, but that there are still lots of expensive things about it, and that a lot of it is still unsafe for drivers as well, from speeding and driver distractions being some of the highest noted things with driving. When it comes to the transit network, it's not quite as extensive as the roadway network, but Samtrans still provides the backbone of our transit system here in San Mateo County. We have the Caltrain line, the WETA, the ferry system to South San Francisco, and of course BART in the north part of the county as well. Bus service is both local, regional, express, and paratransit. And some of the Bayside, as was just mentioned, has the shuttle network as well. That's mainly serving some of the larger cities and the regional transit centers and the employment centers. I won't go too into rail, but on the rail side, we see some of the major stations at Redwood City and Millbrae. Our ridership for the rail side has not rebounded the same as the bus service has. And on the transit access side, in our north part of the county, most people are still driving or able to take local transit to regional transit, but we don't see the same travel pattern in the mid and the southern parts of the county as well, where people do walk to the regional transit system. So different interesting things about our land use patterns too. On the bus side, we have a whole host of different options, from express routes, fixed routes, 45 school routes for Samtrans, 24 commute.org shuttles, and there are about 1,800 individual bus stops across the county. Samtrans did the bus stop improvement plan to address how we could try to upgrade all of those across the county. So that's something Samtrans is really interested in. Interestingly enough, unlike many of our other partners across the county, that Samtrans has actually rebounded to 100% of pre-pandemic ridership, while the shuttles have only rebounded to about 50% of pre-pandemic ridership. So the return to work patterns are really affecting the shuttles, but less so the Samtrans bus service, where the folks that are needing the service to get to work and relying on it are back and taking it, and sometimes never left in the first place. So what we're hearing on the transit side, we're really looking for more frequent and reliable transit service in the 101 corridor. many people would shift to that if they could use it more often, if there was better first last mile ways to get there, so better connections, and if there were more affordable options and better commuter benefits as part of that as well. On the active transportation front, so people walking, biking, rolling, there are some existing countywide connections that we see, but the backbone bikeway network is pretty disjointed. And what we mean by backbone is kind of all ages and abilities. So anyone from 8 years old to 80 years old can feel comfortable riding in a certain type of facility. Those that you see on the right show, as I'm sure you all know on the coast side too, they're some areas that have great trails and then they stop. So we see that a lot on both sides of the county. The county doesn't have, and the cities don't have a comprehensive sidewalk inventory. So that is part of the next version of the comprehensive bike and ped plan that will address that. Have sidewalks. There are many places out here, especially that don't have sidewalks yet. So what we hear from people who are commenting on walking and biking, safety is still the highest concern. And then people would want to walk and bike, but I'm sure it comes as no surprise. It's hard to get across intersections. Highway 101 crossings are very stressful. There are major corridors that need sidewalk gap closures, better lighting, benches, different types of incentives to encourage people to use things like e-bikes as well. So fairly low numbers currently walking and biking in the county, but a lot of the different surveys that have gone on over the past 5 years have indicated there's a lot of momentum for wanting those different facilities. And it's really not to use for every type of trip. It's not for the commute trip always, but it's for how you get to school, how you get to the grocery store, all those type of things. So those shorter range types of trips. So looking ahead to 2050, there's lots of things that are currently underway now, from Caltrain looking at grade separations, Samtrans Grand Boulevard Initiative on El Camino Real, the Dumbarton Corridor. CCAG will be doing more work implementing parts of the local road safety plan across the county. At the Transportation Authority, we are kicking off an update to our shuttle program. And then there's major interchange and congestion management projects across the county.
That's all over on the other side though, right?
Just those ones, yeah.
Well, what's over here?
Okay.
And
Sid, you can't interrupt, please.
I'm sorry, but I don't.
No, you can't interrupt.
Yes, and this is a presentation meant for all across the county. So some of the factors influencing travel conditions that we're looking ahead to are different housing supply and costs, climate risk, aging population here in San Mateo County, how e-bikes and e-devices will be integrated into the system, the ever-looming transit funding deficit, and how autonomous vehicles and other technology will roll out here in the county, or continue to roll out here in the county. But if you will indulge me, we have questions for you all, if you have a few minutes to answer those.
We're running a little late.
Okay.
But you know, as Sid points out, most of what you're talking about is countywide, and it's important that we know what's happening in the rest of the county. But the things that are happening here are completely different.
Yep.
And I would like to give you some feedback and have us answer some of these questions. I wonder if we could do that at a different time.
Either a different time, or if you want to write them down and send them to me, we're happy to take it in that forum too. You don't need to give them to me tonight. We're happy to take all of those.
Can I give one quick request?
Yes, go ahead.
So agreeing time is short, sending those in, but you talked about equity and the advancement of equity, and I saw Peninsula mentioned once. I wonder if you have the capacity, without a lot of hassle, to pull out key things that are relevant to unincorporated coastside. I'm sure that Gus is doing a great job balancing, venting, and asking for the right things, but it might be really helpful in a presentation like this to see something that is very micro and specific to the unincorporated coastside and what we face on a daily basis.
Okay, what I'd like to suggest, based on what you just said and what you just said, is that you do send us a copy of these questions that you'd like to have answers to.
Yep.
And we write you a letter.
Perfect.
How long actually would it take? I'm just curious.
To do what?
We've had 4 questions up there.
So it's just 4 questions?
It's been 4 questions.
We're over our time.
Like, people pretty deep too.
Yeah, I think 70 questions would be for some.
Yeah, when you say what's the challenges.
Does anyone seriously object to writing a letter to and discussing it among ourselves at a future meeting?
I think it's great.
Yes.
Does it work with your deadlines that you have?
Oh, yeah, his deadlines are.
Okay.
It's 2015.
2015. We need all the input. We're going around through the end of January. So if you end of the year or something like that, can send us your thoughts.
Can we incorporate community questions since they didn't get to ask?
No,
Was that just meant for us as a council?
The questions are generally oriented to the council. These are always
but when
open
we
to the
talk
public.
about it as a council and put it on the agenda as writing this letter, we will incorporate community input at that time.
Thank you.
Perfect. So,
So a good introduction, we'll follow up and we'll keep this conversation.
sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No side.
It's dead.
I want to make sure you're reflected.
Are we gonna allow the public to ask questions?
We'll move on to the next item on the agenda.
You're not gonna allow the public to ask questions?
No,
We'll do that at the next meeting.
Sorry, I can't hear you. Can you say that again?
Sorry.
we will have a follow-up meeting to this to discuss the questions that need to be answered. Which will incorporate council and public comment.
Did you hear that, Dan?
Yeah, not happy with it, but go, whatever. All right. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, Dan.
So we move on to the next item on the agenda, which is about RVs. RVs are gonna be a bigger issue, and there's many facets to the conversation. And Scott is gonna start us off on this conversation.
Yes.
And I'm sure this is another one that we'll follow up.
Okay,
So,
I'm waiting for Chris to send it. He's gonna launch it.
okay, because my battery's going down.
Okay, I'm gonna go as quickly as possible through this, but I wanted to first talk about what motivated the council to look into this. So, as Captain Chechov mentioned, our neighboring jurisdictions have changed their RV policies and also oversized vehicle parking restrictions. And some other jurisdictions have begun to force existing restrictions. So what could that mean for the Midcoast? And it is, as you mentioned, it's going to be a possible influx of more RVs. So I wanted to look at visually where we are now and what some other ordinances say, problems associated with oversized vehicles and RV parking, and what are the current available options that are out there if you're living in an RV, or you're storing one, or you have a boat in someone's yard. Before we begin, I do know that if we do nothing, there are consequences. If we enforce legislation, there can be both intended and unintended consequences. So you can go to the next slide. So I wanted to mention something called boondocking. That is, say for instance, you and your friends, you live in Fresno and you want to come to the coast for a while, you throw everybody in your RV and you park in someone's neighborhood and you access the beach or anything along those lines. That's boondogging. That's temporary camping other than a campground. You can go to the next slide. So this is what I saw when I was looking around and thinking about RV parking and oversized vehicle storage. There are three categories that they all fall into. Vehicles used for housing, and that was mentioned earlier, and all the problems associated with that. Storage of oversized vehicles, including boats. So you can have RVs, but people not living in them, but they're being stored in the common areas or in streets or anywhere other than an RV park or RV or a large vehicle storage area, and also transit people coming through. So you can go to the next slide. So these are some examples that I've taken pictures of where this RV situation is on the coast right now. And so as you look at these pictures, obviously these are used for housing. These are not for storage. A lot of these vehicles have been leveled. They don't have anything, a vehicle attached to them. And these are a lot of pictures these are from the harbor. So you can go to the next slide. These are also from near the harbor, but also in the neighborhoods. Not only do we see oversized vehicles parked everywhere in the Midcoast. You can go to the next one.
It's a little more transient.
Yeah. Okay, and this is another picture, some in the harbor. Obviously the bin's leveled. It's picture on the left, the vehicle's been leveled. There's someone living in there. And also the pictures on the right, people are living in there. Go to the next one. The picture on the left is an RV that's been parked in front of the El Granada fire station for a couple years.
Couple of years.
Yeah.
Well, it does move from time to time, but it's there often. And some of the other two pictures, the one on the top right and the bottom, are in El Granada in the neighborhoods. You can go to the next slide. I'm just gonna use that as an example of what I don't know if this is really what's happening, but that would be boondocking. That would be an RV parked in a super nice space with an excellent view, parked on a public street, okay? So that is another example of what we see. Now, you can go to the next slide. So I added this as oversized vehicles. Now, I'm gonna, at the next slides, we're gonna talk about the actual regulations. So if we follow San Mateo's parking restrictions, those would be towed, okay? You can never leave one of those on the street with respect to San Mateo's regulations. So you can go to the next one.
You can't, but they are.
I don't know if we're really I'm in Half Moon Bay, it's not San Mateo's, but we're not really in Half Moon Bay, I think. So San Mateo as a county does not have a uniform RV parking restriction. They rely on rules that have been established in cities or the harbor district or places like that. They rely on the more local jurisdictions to come up with parking restrictions. The bottom picture on the bottom left shows that's our little community, and the area near the airport is designated as no oversized vehicle parking, and that's in like a purple color. And
Airport Street,
yeah, that's the airport street, and the bottom, the middle, which is in red but not purple, that's no parking at all. So those are the only parking restrictions that I could find for the Midcoast. And you can see a couple in Montero. If you look up in Montero, there's a couple spots where you're not allowed to park. So that's San Mateo County. They really don't have a uniform county-wide oversized vehicle or RV parking. So they rely on the local jurisdictions. You can go to the next one. This is Half Moon Bay's oversized vehicle ordinance. This is the actual ordinance. And so I'm gonna go up there right now so I can read it. And so, and it gives this ordinance tells you what is an oversized vehicle and what is a non-motorized vehicle. And you're not allowed to park a non-motorized vehicle between 2 and 5 a.m. ever. And also if you have a detached vehicle like a boat or a trailer, you're never allowed to park those.
except in your driveway or something.
That's your property, not on public property. So, and that's Half Moon Bay's. You can go to the next one. This is specific as oversized vehicle policy, and this is kind of important for us because at their last meeting, they changed their policy. So in the old days, after a few days, you could be cited and then you had to move your vehicle. But people were moving their vehicle, what was the equivalent to one rotation of the tires. So their new parking policy requires the vehicle to be moved 1,000 feet from the previous location after 72 hours.
But also, didn't they have an OSB parking permit they gave out to certain people?
Can you stay
I
put?
didn't put that in there.
Oh, okay.
I didn't want to complicate it.
Okay.
This is the general overview, but that's what's important to us.
Yeah.
You go to the next one. So this is San Francisco's oversized vehicle policy. And I'm not gonna go through all that, except I highlighted in red the most important part. Large vehicles may be parked on city streets from overnight. It was overnight, now it's 2 hours. You cannot park an RV in San Francisco for more than 2 hours. So again, this is gonna apply pressure to us.
Oh, is from meaning it changed from overnight to 2 hours
Yes.
only? Wow.
2 hours, yes, so 2 hours, that's it. And there's some other stuff in there, I'm not gonna go through all that for the details, but the gist of it is you gotta move. You can go to the next one. So here's the issues with oversized vehicles. And I'm just gonna throw those real quick, and I'm gonna focus on a couple that are most important to us. And they impair sight lines for road users, they block sidewalks, we saw pictures of blocked sidewalks. There are fires associated with garbage, localized air pollution, I'm gonna show you an example of localized air pollution. The captain mentioned illegal dumping of garbage and human waste and discharging the gray water. And then in the San Francisco, they were breaking into fire hydrants and poaching electricity. You can go to the next one.
Water.
Yeah, from fire, they're getting water from fire hydrants. You can go to the next one. So this is an example of garbage and fire. Those are propane tanks. There's all kind of stuff going on behind this RV, and I just took this picture recently. You can go to the next one. That's in the harbor. So this is also in the harbor. That is a generator. When I came by on my bike, the generator was running. You can go to the next one. And this is in El Granada.
I know that trailer.
I know. So when I went by on this one, its generator was running and it sounded like a massive diesel generator. Obviously in the street. So again, air quality, noise, etc. You can go to the next one.
Was that in front of their house?
Yes.
That's there.
I also wanted to, so what can you do? Is there options at this time? These are the things that are available now. The Harbor Village RV Park is at 30% occupancy during the week, and that's just a guess. I don't know if that's exactly it, but there's room there. You can park there.
Isn't it like $125 a
That's
night?
not my problem.
I'm just.
Okay, there is a space to park your RV. You can go to the next one. If you need to store your RV, this is the spot to do it. It's available, it's close. Like I mentioned earlier, living in RVs and storing RVs. Okay, we'll go to the next one. Oh, that's the sunset. So,
It's beautiful.
yeah, so that I just wanted to end on something nice. Now, I mentioned earlier that here's the problem. If we enforce, if Half Moon Bay's policy is enforced, the people that like to store their boats in front of their houses are going to be inconvenienced by this. But we can't have people living in RVs all over the place. There are places to go. If anybody wants to fact check me on what I've done too, that would be great also. And if we were to write an ordinance, we could say that, hey, listen, if this vehicle is registered, the address of the vehicle registered is in front of the house of the registration, then maybe they can get a pass on having to move it. So if I were to say, hey, let's make our own legislation in the future, I would want to think about what has historically been happening in the Midcoast. What affects us, as I mentioned, fires and garbage and sewage and all that stuff, and try to, as a community, make something that would make everyone happy. Go ahead.
Well, first of all, we still have Captain Cheetoff
Yes.
on the line, and I'd like to hear his thoughts on any of this.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. That's why I appreciated him continuing to stay on the line with us.
No problem, no problem at all. Yeah, I mean, and I'll tell you that one of the things is we actually do see, as we cite vehicles, because I'll tell you right now, it is very rare, and we are very hesitant to tow vehicles for the oversized parking, simply because that gets into places where Pacifica has had problems, other places have had problems. What we've actually found is as we start to cite vehicles, those that are mobile, those that can move, do tend to move. Unfortunately, there are some people that are resistant, and like I said, because it runs the gambit. You know, we're talking about humanity. We're not cookie cutter. Um, so the more restrictions would give us some authority to cite vehicles, which would help move them along. But of course, like you said, as much as I hate to say, it's the old thing of, it's just an intractable problem that doesn't have a good solution. Like I said, if anybody has any ideas for a longer term solution, I am all ears. Please.
I think
Am I- Go ahead, Kevin.
So one, I wanted to thank you, Scott, for that presentation. I thought it was very informative. It's kind of even hard to say this because I think all of us here realize that there's a very real human aspect to this. One that likely borders on homelessness. And so we want to be compassionate and careful about how we frame this. I think all of us agree that we would not like to have RV park in our area. And when you look at the Harbor Village at 30% occupancy, I would think that there would be a very quick stipend or allowance. I mean, if we looked at it multi-pronged and said, not every case is the same. Can you afford to pay? Can you not afford to pay? If you can't afford to pay, here's a stipend. Take your RV, move it off of our streets, or it would be impounded because there's probably likely a much larger cost to removal and storage of an RV at the county level than there is looking at the Harbor Village and saying, hey, there's 30% occupancy, we can put you there. So that's one aspect. But then also, again, Captain Tishoff, thank you for being here. I think the human element and looking at cities who employ mental health professionals to go out in these instances and make real world assessments about the state that a specific couple or family may be in and whether or not they're going to be reachable by such a simple solution. So I think you presented a complex problem, one that if we don't do something about this issue now, it is just going to grow and grow and grow. We see it growing in this present moment. From the last 4 years, it has gotten exponentially bigger.
I think that kind of my intention was to say, here's where we're at now. There's a lot of them out there. Maybe we should be proactive and I know that the county is somewhat proactive in this, and I talked to the sheriff's office a little bit, and they said they're aware of the problem and they're working on it, but
Ray did say that he was trying to enforce more
yeah.
around this.
Oh, sorry, go ahead. Am I still in charge?
Oh, you're so
Okay, go ahead.
I think it could be useful to have Pacifica Resource Center or somebody who runs the program in Pacifica to come here and just talk to us about how that works and what kind of success it's had in moving people to permanent housing. They've been doing that program, I think, for at least 2 years. And there are learnings from it, which I think would be interesting to hear.
You know if they still have a problem with RVs in Pacific?
They do.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
They do. It comes up at many city council meetings, and I attend almost every one of those meetings, and it's a very complicated and very charged issue in Pacifica, as it is most of the
Throughout the county, because I attend all of the board of supervisor meetings on Zoom, and it comes up all the time.
Yeah.
Where would you like to go with this,
So
Scott?
So what are your recommendations?
I couldn't find San Mateo County's enforceable, oversized vehicle ordinance. I couldn't find such a thing. I was going to ask ChatGPT to create a county oversized vehicle parking restriction based upon Pacifica's and San Francisco's and see what it comes up with. And if we like it, pass it on to Ray and see if he would like to have it voted on. So we have something, we have an actual ordinance that's enforceable. And at that point, we can ask for more enforcement. I,
So just out of curiosity, I mean, I think that's an interesting idea as a starting
Okay.
point.
I did
But I
this
think
actually-
creating
I
an
think I
actual
saw this, I
ordinance
couldn't
would
find
take a
it.
lot more, it'd be more complicated and take a lot more research and effort than just generating
okay,
Well,
an AI.
I kind of see this, what we're doing tonight as opening the door to
Yes.
this issue. And I'm not sure where it's going, there may be also, we need to look at safe parking programs.
yeah.
But I think you've done a good job of opening the door and
So-
we'll see where it goes.
So I thought about Kevin's idea. Can't the county supply a voucher to put things in available spaces that were used for living in? Like the RV park here. We have 2 of them. There are others around. That's an option. I know other counties do that. I
Not dissimilar to putting people into motels or hotels where there's occupancy and they're homeless.
No, you take your RV and put it in an actual RV park
Yeah.
where there's electricity and sewage and those kinds of things. I guess I will, I tried to put in the next steps that I thought were available now. But maybe we should think about, I'll try to think about the future and come up with some other ideas.
Does anybody else want to say?
Go ahead.
something?
Wanted to ask. I mean, like, there are people who want to stay in Market.
Yes,
It's not a matter of financial, they
Yes.
like, do
yes.
you have any statistics, have you seen anything on that?
I don't have any statistics on that. I don't know if they exist.
There's allegedly, somebody in Pacifica that they reached out to who was employed and making $250,000. And,
It's like people want to.
he just wants to stay there.
People want to live on-
That was their choice of life.
Messed up their.
But
So,
there are people that do choose that as a lifestyle, right? That is a lifestyle choice, not necessarily people who.
but you are, so I didn't want to get into this idea, but they're using the commons for free. These are the commons. We should all be able to use them. If you're parking an RV on the street, you're paying no property tax.
She's just talking about the challenge.
I'm not disagreeing,
Right.
I'm just saying, there are different solutions for different parts of this problem, right? There's
Yeah.
there's different scenarios, and so.
Yeah.
It isn't just, the one size fits all.
I know,
right?
I know,
It's-
yeah,
Maybe if it, yeah.
I didn't know, I didn't just have the, I didn't have the data to provide the bandwidth to address that issue of mobile homelessness.
I think it's
So-
good framework for us to start something with.
Okay. But as my picture showed, there's a lot out there.
Oh, yeah.
It's out there. We kind of, go ahead, Chris.
Well, Claire, kind of, foreshadowed my question, which I think you brought up when you were kind of talking in the last meeting that you were going to do this presentation. And
Yes.
I thought you said that there was some planning around safe parking. I don't think that the voucher thing and forcing the RV park owner to accept whomever,
Okay.
that's not gonna work with their business model.
Okay.
But I thought there was some kind of, I thought you were hinting that there was some.
There
kind of
was.
plan afoot
I think
to-
when I first came onto the council, I remember Half Moon Bay was talking about establishing a safe parking area.
Mhm.
But nothing came of it that I know of.
The problem that, well, partly they wanted to put it on the Midcoast, that was one issue. But,
Thank God raised
the,
it up.
the death knell, I think, to that was that they didn't want to just say, here you can come park here, you'll be safe tonight. They wanted it to be a real program where people could have services and
Yes.
to move on, and they couldn't get the funding for it.
Okay.
And that's exactly what Pacifica has. This program that they have, people get on the list and they're allowed to park in certain areas and they have to go through the program to get permanent housing.
You might be
So
good at
that's-
specific and come down and talk.
Yeah.
So I had it in the presentation, but it was complicated and I thought it would take too much time, so I deleted all that. What they do as a solution as opposed to
I
this.
mean, it's
what-
only one piece, as you said. It's
Right.
one piece of the whole problem.
Yeah,
The other issue is you mentioned boat parking, which is kind of a completely different animal.
but it's over, but I brought in that due to San Mateo's parking restrictions. And they, so say like unintended consequences, and I referred to that in the beginning. If we just go broadly and enforce what exists, I mean, not San Mateo, Half Moon Bays. There would cover that. It would cover all that,
Yeah.
so.
But the county has, so for the unincorporated coast, they
Yes.
can't just enforce Half Moon Bay's
Exactly,
policy. They have to have their own separate policy.
right.
I'd also like to point out my observation about Capistrano, so over there by the airport and Old Princeton Landing, you know, that stretch there, so that I think it's probably the county that came and illegally mowed down riparian vegetation on both sides of that as part of their manic drive to cut vegetation along every roadway in the county. And, you know, it's in, you know, contradiction of the LCP with regard to riparian vegetation, but what they did is they made that stretch of roadway that used to have a couple of turnouts 100% parkable for large vehicles now, and that's where a bunch of your pictures were.
So again, that's an unintended consequence of behavior. And if you Google, where can I park for free on the coast, you're directed to park there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
By whom?
Boondocking websites. Yeah, some of them have been shut down, these websites, so I try to find them again, but they keep, it's like playing whack-a-mole with those, hey, park here.
But one emerges every week, so.
Yeah, so, yeah,
Scott, I have my hand up.
go ahead, let her rip.
I don't know if you looked for it, but for 2 years, maybe, I think it's every other year, the county does a point in time count once a year for unhoused people. And I worked on the coastside one. And I did Princeton both times and Moss Beach and Montera. So you can look that data up and you'd have to look under San Mateo County point in time.
Okay.
And you'll find that the coastside has the most people living in their vehicles for the whole county.
Okay.
And it is mostly in the Princeton area. And when I first started, they had the woman who was living under the tarp right across from Barbara's the brew pub.
Mhm.
And she's gone, because when Ray took office, there were people pointing her out to him and they found housing for her. She was very resistant to go. So there are people that they do want to live in their vehicles, but you know, over time they can be convinced, or
I bought
sometimes
food.
they find housing for them. And there was an issue where there was a guy who lived in a van at Smithfield, and some vigilantes came and they were spinning their tires and they put gravel on his what do you call it? They broke his back window of his van by spinning their tires and basically hazing him. And I mentioned it, and Harvey said, "Well, they're going to deal with it." Well, they talked to Ray, and they were going to move all the unhoused people living in their cars up to the harbor. And that was their plan, was to move them up here. So Ray said no, because there was no end game. And, he stuck up for us because they just wanted to give us their problem. But really, I think they should have some kind of a safe parking program somewhere. I mean, I don't know where, maybe
You're talking about.
some in Half Moon Bay, some on the Midcoast, but
How about
someplace.
Fresno?
Well, I'm not saying that, but
So don't we have a running
I
list?
mean,
of
we
things
have to
that-
think of the
It's like-
humanitarian thing, that these people are, I've lived near Airport Street for a really long time, and there's always been RVs there. They've started getting them out of there, but there's still some on Capistrano. There's actually some on Cypress. They come and go, but I see them there. So, You know, I don't know if they're just boondogging.
Boondocking.
Yeah,
They're temporarily,
yeah.
or that's their house.
Or they come by and then they leave and then they come back, but
Sure.
I've seen them there. And sometimes people just park there to go down to the marine reserve and, but I've seen them parked there and I think, oh, here's another one. And then they're gone again. But anyway, I do think we need something. I don't think we can write the legislation for it. So I know with Pacifica, they got sued. And so they started giving out 18 oversized vehicle parking places. But they even had one woman of mother and a daughter. They couldn't afford rent anymore, so they're living in their RV. But some neighbor objected, so when they went out for coffee one morning, they got towed. And then they didn't even have a house anymore, but they were working. They were just the working poor, and that's what's happening in San Francisco too. Been following it on Mission Local. They have, the people that lived around Lake Merced and by City College, no,
San
UCSF.
Francisco State.
Yeah, they were being towed, but they were being threatened to be towed. And then little by little, each street they said, oh, we're gonna repave this, you gotta move. And then they wouldn't let them come back. And now they're over at the last street near the Lake Merced apartments, close to Daly City. So they're kind of slowly pushing them out. And Mayor Lurie said,
Sid, you've kind of gone over.
yeah, right. Okay, so anyway, Mayor Louis said, well, if you don't like our new law, you can move somewhere else. And he meant San Mateo County. So they're coming.
That's why we're doing this.
I know.
So Captain had a question.
Well, I just thought this is not gonna go away, not with one meeting, not with even one conversation. Ray had some input on this, you were mentioning Pacifica. I just think that we had a list of things that we would like to see move forward into the next year, and this is a prime example of one that should, I think, go onto that list.
I agree. I think that's why we're doing this to open the door. And are you basically ready to wrap up? Or-
Yes.
All right, thank you for your work.
You got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks.
You're
So
right,
we're
Sid.
going to we're back on schedule. And we'll go back to the regular agenda, and the third item is our continued planning for our stakeholders meeting. We did meet, Chris and Kimberly and I met with our prospective moderator last week. And I'll let you guys fill people in. I was impressed.
Oh, good. It's not a meeting. Yeah, Charles Gardner is a principal at Catalyst Group is their name. They are public outreach, public engagement facilitator. That's their specialty. And I was familiar with Charles in the past. I worked at an environmental consulting firm that occasionally had large controversial public projects that needed to run meetings or series of public meetings that benefited from having a neutral third party as the facilitator and the adult in the room to run the meeting, to hold to an agenda, to help even advance to craft that agenda and to be effective in trying to solicit the involvement of the state, whatever the stakeholders were. They could be public agencies, but also the public. And so I looked him up and we had a chat with him, and he just he seemed, I think the three of us agreed that he seemed, competent and on top of it. I think at the last meeting that we had here, I described that I'd had a kind of a preliminary conversation with him where I tried to brief him on what the issue was at hand and what some of the stakeholders were. And he outlined, not formally outlined, but he helped us to understand what his approach would be, which consisted of having some preemptory kind of interviews with the stakeholders to understand what it was that their issues and concerns were, what their hopes for what they hope to get out of a meeting such as what we're proposing to do, and how ground rules for the public meeting, or for the meeting, how they would be in place, and then how to elicit the input from each of the stakeholders, and then he has kind of a two-tiered proposal. One is to get to that point, and one is for additional time that he would spend after the meeting to interview each of the stakeholders again to get a more formalized, set of responses and conclusions about how that meeting went, and working toward what our ultimate goal was, which Gus, you put so well, it's just sort of like, if not about this issue, then about the larger issue of how to integrate and coordinate these stakeholders in the future.
One of the things that I was pleased to hear is that he does want to interview each of the stakeholders before the meeting to find out what would be to their advantage in attending, and to kind of sell the meeting to them. We're having some resistance from one of the stakeholders right now to attending, and he's willing to work with them and to see if they can bring them around to attend the meeting and participate actively. So I thought that would be quite valuable.
Kimberly, you have any?
Don't have
Nothing else?
anything to add, really.
Okay.
I think my impression was that this facilitator would handle this project very well. I asked him some hard questions, and I was satisfied with all his answers.
We did get a statement of what it would cost,
Could you announce that
$5,000.
for tier 1 or both tiers?
That was both.
So he wouldn't be time and material, I mean, he wouldn't be by the hour, he would just say, I'll do it for 5,000.
He said he charges $250 an hour,
Okay.
and he wrote us he put that together in his head as to what he thought it would take it,
Okay.
and he gave us an estimate of 5,000 to do this whole thing.
Do the whole thing.
Putting it out.
So if we went with tier 1, it would go to like an hourly to whatever it would take
The estimate was 3,000.
for tier 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's without the interviews.
Without the follow-up interviews. Got it. Okay. I do have a couple of quick questions, I hope are quick. So MCC coordinating these stakeholders to come together in a way to reach a solution. In any part of the conversation, was it discussed that the MCC has had a lack of success, for a better word, in reaching out to stakeholder X, or there may be trouble with
Yes, we
this?
talked about.
Yeah, in fact, one of his solutions was to more actively engage with, I don't know how to put it exactly, but somebody who's a player who can bring everybody, who can kind of use their power or influence. A Ray Mueller, for instance.
Mhm.
And we're like, well, he's one of the parties, really, and so he has a role in this. We'd rather not have him be in the position of,
I ask it in that same vein, in that we're supposed to stay as neutral as possible and to refrain from painting anything with a brush of bias. And so with that, I would lean in more towards the moderator doing the work with the stakeholders than a Ray Mueller.
Yeah.
And also, since Ray asked us to put this together, the county asked us to put this together, I think sending a quick email and saying tier 1 is 3,000, it includes this, but do you have interest in tier 2, which is a post-interview assessment and maybe some stats that we can kind of look at, if not for, like you said, this issue, but for future issues, might be helpful.
Well, actually, Ray did not ask us to do this. This was our idea. He is supporting us doing it.
Right.
And we can't afford to do this, but we also talked about other areas of financing we might be able to tap into, which we haven't really totally explored yet. And we did spend a lot of time talking about how to eliminate bias from this whole procedure.
Yeah, that was my only concern. I mean, I think we have the funds and I think that this is since I've been on the council, these particular stakeholders don't seem to talk to each other or seem to put up resistance talking to just us. So I would be in support of that just initially, at least tier one.
Should we move to vote on saying that we want to have this person do this job at a particular dollar amount?
Well, can I ask
Sure.
another question? Have you guys interviewed him? Is there a set of outcomes, the deliverables that you talk to him to?
Good question.
What is that we can get out of this?
You know, part of that is, since it's a meeting we're spearheading, would be up to us working with him initially to establish what the agenda is, what the
Outcomes are.
what the outcomes.
Deliverables from him though, even documentation or, does an interview.
It'd be nice to see that from him.
What are we getting out of that? He can, but then what happens? Right?
Yeah, that's a good point. That's
So, one thing I do want to mention is that this is incredible. This guy is giving us an incredible opportunity for a really good seasoned professional facilitator who could charge thousands of dollars more, because normally this would cost, I don't know, $25,000 to $30,000 for a full thing. And we're proposing this portion of this kind of meeting. And it's still a really low amount that he's offering.
I think they both, Connie and Scott agreed that having him put together some deliverables, some outcomes, would be smart, would be prudent at any $1,000 mark. $3,000 is still a lot of money for a facilitator.
At one point, he said he thought that might be of value to have another person, like, one of his colleagues, his associates, be there as a note taker, a person that, to make sure that everything is documented well for everybody's comfort.
At a minimum, notes would be something that we want.
Parking lot items, follow-ups. It's very hard to do that while you're facilitating, so I'm gonna really need to take that role.
Yeah, because if we spend the money, we want to see something for it,
And I agree, it's good. I would never disagree about the price. I mean, it's.
But I'm still willing to take up a motion to move forward with the first part if we can get that cleared up. To move to, the deliverables part. I think it's a good.
do you believe his price would go up if we have a note taker? Obviously, right?
Probably.
Yeah,
Can we afford that also?
yes.
Because that's important.
So one thing we floated was that we could also look for other sources of funding for this. So maybe some sort of grant to help us with this meeting.
Ray has also said we have a $2,500, even with the budget that we have in the bank right now, a year budget. So we might be able to ask for an additional amount of funds with a receipt for this person to cover that portion of it and use his fee out of our bank account so that we're taking the lion's share and asking for the note taker for the deliverables to be handled by county.
I thought when I asked about that, he said, no, until we spend all our money, we don't have that.
But they're not.
He has told them, I'm gonna accept you, Kevin, that's the case.
So do you want me to ask? Because I'm happy to ask.
That seems odd, really.
Why? I'm a
Because-
member of the council. I'm the treasurer.
No, go on.
But
Not you asking, but it seems odd when he would tell some people one thing and some people other things.
I agree with that, but I do know that there are other groups that operate like us that do have small budgets and small bank accounts that do submit receipts for up to $2,500 a year. And they use it particularly for administrative costs, note takers and admin. So that's why I thought of it as a natural ask?
Well, we'll have a meeting with him next week, and we can ask. To see if we can get squared away as to what he actually is willing to say.
But do we want to take a motion then to move forward with the 3,000?
Let me add one more thing if I can. We also talked about timing of the meeting. And I think we agreed that like the second or third week of January would probably be good. He said he is available anytime, except he gave us one certain date he couldn't do it.
January 30.
Then it's off.
Say that date again?
I think January 30th was his.
Okay, do you want to tighten that down when I'll book the room? You want me to book a room on a particular date? Should we?
We have to get the stakeholders to it. He's got some preemptive work to do, right? Before we say this is the scheduled date, which includes reaching out to stakeholders saying, hey, I'm here, I'm doing this thing.
Well, yeah, so again, right, go back to, if he's gonna interview people, that has to be orchestrated. How much time, is it a half-hour interview with each person?
I think about a week or two to complete those.
Right.
If you get them,
Yeah.
right, that's perfect to do it if they're gonna respond.
So I expressed that to him. He seemed to think it was not a problem.
You
I
can't,
mean,
it's hard to get.
It's-
I don't think.
I think it's not a problem for his
Not
time.
Yeah, I'm saying, yeah,
Right.
stakeholders being available.
And what
Oh,
if,
yeah,
what if a
forgot about
stakeholder
those
just
guys.
doesn't accommodate us? Like,
I don't, maybe you don't need the interview. Can't tell them.
I think they could be very useful.
But if you wait for them,
Yeah.
then. So documenting that, summarizing that, bringing that in, who's, what is the advantage of him doing that, just for him to understand what's going on, or?
And to motivate them to have some idea what they would like to get out of it.
and I thought you said that he wanted to kind of discuss with them as to what they thought the issues were.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's invaluable information, I think.
And if you go to
What
one
prevents these people
stakeholder,
from
you
talking
say,
to one another?
you know, hey, I've just talked to your neighbor, would you like to sign my petition tonight? You know, it's that kind of thing. If other stakeholders have engaged with him, then the next one will be more inclined.
Well, it sounds like we're in general agreement to pursue this, but we need to, the issue of the concrete deliverables, I think needs to be nailed down. And, how should we approach this, would you say? What's your thought?
I think if we're agreed that we are moving forward, then we go back to him and say, we'd like to formalize this, and here's some of the things that we talked about and that we'd like to get out of this process.
But we need to hire him like now, if we really do that, I think. So I think that entertaining a motion to.
That would be a conversation where we're saying, we would like to hire you.
Yeah.
Let's nail down your scope of work.
Yeah, that's what.
I would appreciate it, I don't know if this is the time to say it, but I would appreciate it if you're available, if Connie, Chris, Chris and Kimberly could talk instead of Connie, Chris and me. I mean, you know, I don't want to be part of this next conversation. I think that there's no expertise.
Well, I have asked to be part of this conversation and do have a lot of expertise in this, so.
Yes, she does.
Well, I do, but.
No, I know you do,
Okay.
but we were talking about Kimberly, Chris and,
They all have a lot of expertise.
okay, great.
I don't, so I'm gonna back out.
Okay. I am in favor of putting forth a motion that we approve $3,000 from our budget to start the preliminary hiring of this person and talking about the scope of work.
Is that a motion?
Yes, I just put
Okay.
forth that motion.
I'll second that.
Any more discussion?
Well, I would just say that we're moving forward, but I want to see the proposal. You know. It's 3,000 a low end?
3,000.
No,
Yes, that's low end.
that's low end, so.
That's tier 1, 5,000 is the higher.
I'm just saying, I don't know what this gentleman said, if it's. The low end is 3, is that the average, or could it go as high as 6 or 8, like, I just don't understand.
So,
Oh, got it.
But if the
Like,
like
we're
we're
capped at-
allocated to deal with stuff with him, you know,
Yeah,
that.
I just think.
I see what you're saying. So we're capped at 3 with this is what you're saying.
Yeah,
Like,
it's a cap.
But at the next meeting, we can say, hey, listen, here are the deliverables, it's gonna cost another $1,000. And we'll vote on that too, to move forward.
So,
We
so
can do
I'm a
that.
little concerned, because I think really we should go ahead and say that we're comfortable spending the 5,000 and say that we're gonna go do these things. You know, that won't be paid until we have all the details, but I think we should go ahead and say, this is how much we plan to spend.
I disagree only because the follow-up interviews and the benefit of the follow-up interviews and what is entailed in the follow-up interviews has not been discussed, but the first part has. And
That's
I-
okay, I just think we should plan that we're gonna go beyond that.
I just think at our next meeting, we could talk about that. We could have more time to discuss that. You said it'll take a couple of weeks. I think we should approve the 3,000 to get them started. And then discuss the other items for tier 2. And approve the additional $2,000.
I don't think it'd be a problem to get more. I understand your concern, but if you say, well, we need more money, we'll just vote on that, and get it up to 5.
I like that you put it in 2 tiers.
If that's okay with you. I don't think it's a
I,
big deal.
I think this body should be comfortable amending a contract.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely. So then again, I make the motion that we approve tier 1, $3,000 with the caveat that we have the conversation with him about what his deliverables will be and starting that process for outcomes, and if there's additional fees for a note taker, what that would be so that we can approve that at our next meeting.
I second that. Let's do that.
Are there any questions from the audience?
One other question, I mean, shouldn't we understand what we want of, in terms of deliverables before we ask him to tell us what the deliverables are?
I thought that's what he said, work with him to give him deliverables. I thought that's what Chris just said.
But we haven't discussed what we think the deliverables are, that's what I'm getting at.
I know.
I'm open to have that discussion.
Yep, I am too. Conversations with a person in his area of expertise, I would naturally sort of defer, what do you think? What do you typically do?
I don't
But-
disagree with that,
but
but
we
I'm
can-
cognizant of the fact that we have very few meetings left to get this organized and.
It's only 5 after
Okay,
9. Do you
so-
wanna ask him?
What about, do we have goals? What are our goals, and can we boil the goals into deliverables? Do we have a goal? We have to have a goal.
The goal is to have these stakeholders be ready to
Yes.
speak to one another about issues that overlap their respective organizations,
Right,
correct?
then how do we publish that?
I don't know.
And what's the mechanism that's
Activated?
that those conversations happen, or the forum where they happen? You know, we can't just have them say, okay, I'll make sure to call them next time we have a plan.
We have to hire a facilitator for every single time we want them to get together and talk. I mean, that's a very real question.
We don't know the outcome, but we have to accept what the results are, right? We don't, that might be the end result, but we're gonna put it in motion. Right?
Well, I think it would, I mean, if we're gonna have him go and talk to people first. I think you want a readout of that point, after he's done that, like, are people gonna be completely interested in coming in? You know, I'd wanna see some summary of what that discussion was, or for him to give us some readout, because if right in the get-go, people are really being obstinate, then, you know,
Agreed.
okay, what's next steps, right? Is it even fruitful to go further? You know, maybe they will tell him stuff that, you know, we wouldn't necessarily hear.
Which makes tier 2 completely obsolete.
Even the rest of the whole meeting. So I would want to hear like a pulse review after he does the interviews to make sure that those it's even worthwhile going forward. Maybe he'll hear stuff that.
Can I piggyback off of what you're saying?
Could I read what he actually said here?
Yeah.
Okay, here's his estimates, 3,000 to include a 2 to 3 hour interview, agenda planning call with 3 of you, which would be the 3 of you. Draft and final agenda, meeting attendance and facilitation, summary notes and recommendations. 5,000 would include all of the above, plus time to schedule and conduct initial interviews with 7 or 8 meeting participants. So I think we had it backwards here. The 3,000 is to basically run the meeting. And an additional 2,000 would be to do the preliminary work with stakeholders.
I've read that.
Well,
Glad you read that.
Because those are the deliverables right there.
Right.
But so there are other things. I do want to say something. We're talking about who's interviewing who. I don't know if anybody recalls seeing my CV when I first started, but I have been an executive director and an associate director and have done this exact thing for 30 years. And I have been chosen to be on this many task forces to do this, as this group has been pulled to be on multiple opportunities to do this. That being said, I don't really care. I think the group is fine. But I just want to remind you that I am competent and capable, and I have been given this many opportunities to sit on any task force, to work with any outside group, even to find a physical space to have an event like this.
You were not president for most of the.
I'm sorry, I missed one meeting. I showed up one when I was sick and I zoomed in on the other one. So I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, I don't think we should fight about this.
I'm not trying to fight, but what I'm saying.
We all have impressive backgrounds. We all are capable of. a lot
Yet
of
I have been
things.
picked 0 times when some have been picked multiple times. I just want to be on the record as saying it feels like a sleight of hand. I have fine relationships with everybody in this group mostly, and I think Connie is a great person to do this. I'm just saying, for the record, I'm not a dummy. I'm a 54-year-old man as of tomorrow, and I've done a lot of this work in my professional career, including chairing boards and councils. I wonder if the $3,000 as a start with the deliverables at hand, like what happens if he meets with the 3 of you, and then he goes out to do the interviews with the stakeholders, and there is an unwillingness right out of the gate from the stakeholders. Can we ask to go to an hourly rate so that this group can come back and say, they're just in total defiance. They don't want to talk to us. They don't want to meet. That like one does, but 2 others don't. Like, is there a way that we can navigate that piece and tether it to monies that we are spending?
I think we can have a contract with him that specifies that the 3,000 or 5,000 is a not to exceed, and that needs to, bill us based on his hourly.
That sounds like a good plan.
Yeah.
Can you read that aloud again, actually?
No.
3,000 to include a 2 to 3 hour interview agenda planning call with the group from the council. Draft and final agendas, meeting attendance and facilitation, summary notes and recommendations.
Was it your assumption when he said meeting attendance that included the interviews with the stakeholders saying, yes, they would meet?
No, it means he's going to attend and facilitate the meeting.
Got it.
And he is going to provide summary notes and recommendations.
So I would think one of the guarantees out of this would be to get the stakeholders to attend the meeting. It seems like a very logical one that's missing from this.
Well, the extra $2,000 is for that.
That's the post interview.
No, it's not post interview.
I misspoke and Claire corrected me. So
I'm sorry, could you read the tier 2? Or was it in
$5,000 would include all of the above, plus time to schedule and conduct initial interviews with 7 or 8 meeting participants.
So then we have an additional cost of a potential note taker for the admin role.
Not necessarily, maybe not, because he's, for the 3,000, he's saying he's going to provide summary notes and recommendations. He doesn't say how he's gonna do it.
So will we get that with the extra $2,000 for the meeting itself? You're assuming this, right?
The extra 2,000 is
For the preliminary.
preliminary work and to help persuade those people of the importance.
So we need a note taker for the actual meeting if all of this stuff actually happens.
He's gonna do the summarization.
Yeah, he says that he's gonna do it. For the $3,000. We'll see if that's really that.
I guess just nail it down, please. The less that we have to like
It's 5,000.
think about, I would say yes to 5,000 to make sure that happens.
I agree with you.
Kimberly has a.
So just one thing to bring up, one thing we did, we shared with him the invitation letter, that, Connie drafted, and then he took a stab at it. And he was gonna look at that and just advise us on how, to word that in a way that would kind of help with that.
Yeah.
To pull people in. So that's.
I mean, he
that's
sounds
part of
totally
what-
competent. All of you have like sung his praises, and he sounds like if there was a person that could potentially negotiate on our behalf for this, this is the right one. And I have absolute faith and trusting my council members in that. I think that we should make a motion to move forward with the $5,000 line item now that you've clarified it and what it includes, so that we can get this process started. It's November 12th, the day before my 54th birthday. But I'm in favor of $5,000 to get this process started based on what Claire read as both tiers, included with a little bit of clarification.
One person at this table hasn't weighed in. I'd like to hear your thoughts first.
I think we're willing to spend the 5,000 in principle, but it's simpler if we just. Like, unless there's a lot more negotiating about what he's going to do with your business model. It's pretty clear what you need to be doing. I'd rather just. Improve the noise once. And keep going. Yeah, it's not definitely a guy under a lot of different uses. I think it's just simpler and there is a little bit of time pressure. I think we're about to move into holidays and everything else. Yeah. So if we really want to get this done, I think slamming on the gas a little bit is probably the best. Also, actually. Agreed.
Sounds like we're pretty much on the same page.
So can I make a final motion or are we ready?
Yeah, the revised motion.
Yeah,
I think he just did.
but I mean, for the record, I make a motion that we approve both tier 1 and tier 2 at $5,000 so that we can start the process of onboarding, hiring this person and. But okay, finessing a couple of things, but getting started as soon as possible. Is there a second?
I'll second. Oh, yeah, sure. I'll second.
Ray will second
Let's
it.
go.
We got
We're
third.
gonna sit.
But this we discussed it enough, haven't we?
Wait, did I say Ray? I'm sorry, Gus.
Oh, wait, I didn't ask him what, I didn't hear anything. Anything now?
No.
Nope, okay.
We're the only ones.
Connie, could you call the roll?
Yes,
Yes.
Chris,
Yeah.
Kevin,
Yes.
Yes.
Kimberly,
Yes.
Claire,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah. Onward. And everybody's gonna have something to do. Everybody doesn't have to be the big chiefs and.
I know, and you know what, Claire, I just wanna say that. Yes, this has been a learning experience for me and that this is community politics and it's very tethered to. Passion and heat and opinion and all of that. But I do have a lot of experience with all of that and I guess I have felt like maybe there has been little trust to be in charge of those kinds of things. And I would like to see that change.
You've been in charge of several things.
I've not been in charge of, the only thing that I've been in charge of to date is treasury, and I've worked on some mid-level stuff with you, but only in catching up with notes.
And you worked on the email stuff, and you worked on the website.
Email stuff never made it, even though I spent a week preparing it, it never actually made it to this council.
It did make it to, which one?
The actual proposal.
For the website, yes, but we did the email thing. You brought up a number of things.
I did a nice PowerPoint.
Bought our computer.
You brought it.
Bought the computer.
I bought a computer, yeah.
You know what, this is a pretty impressive group. I know you've got all kinds of credentials, the same as everybody else.
I know that. I'm not trying to say,
I know.
here's my credentials. My
For your
point is that I have, for whatever reason, felt like I have been less likely to be assigned to stuff. While I have come out and said to Chris, I've learned more from your detailed reviews on planning than I ever thought that I could, and that I was appreciative of that. And same with some of the things that you have written in terms of planning. But you know, you can stretch with me. I have more capacity. That's all I'm trying to say.
So pay attention to everybody else and what they have to offer too. mean,
I do. I call every single council member almost regularly.
You
And
don't call me.
I do call you. We actually talk more than.
You just told me never to talk to you.
No, I cannot.
Okay.
I told you not to talk to me about a specific topic.
Yeah.
Pull it over. Can we adjourn?
We can't adjourn because we have to do a few things.
Oh, damn it.
You're gonna be gone for the rest of the year.
Yes.
We need somebody to open this room.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So you've been doing that.
I have been.
How many more, is it just one more meeting that we have?
No, we
Or
have
two more?
2 more meetings.
And if he's gone and we're doing voting, we're doing elections for the next year,
On the 17th.
December 3rd.
how does that work if he's gone?
I'll be on the plane.
We'll have to see if there's,
I'm gonna-
he's able to zoom in from Vietnam, I don't know.
It
Yeah.
seems so far. Will it go that far?
I bet it will.
Does the internet go that far?
Vietnam is the
It's like
second city.
All right, I'll see, I will make an effort to zoom in if I can.
That would be wonderful.
I'll do
I
it.
did look at the bylaws to see if you have the ability, or if the council has the ability to give him permission to vote by way of email or,
Of course he does.
so.
Oh, by email, by email,
Yes,
sorry.
yes.
And what
So
did it say?
it said you do, that he does, potentially if the council agrees.
I hate email. I'm gonna fucking.
You'd rather zoom in, huh?
I might zoom in.
What email?
Yeah.
In Vietnam.
Pretty good at pointing it. Yeah, I'll see what I can do. I'm gonna do it off this. I'm not taking a computer because I don't have one. I'm gonna do it off this thing.
Okay, but who's gonna fix up the room for?
Who wants to do it? You just have to do it a couple times.
These are pretty easy to set up. I've set these up before. You just put in.
No, we don't have to do
It's something
anything.
that you can do.
So how many
You
meetings
said
does this
it.
person?
Oh,
have
thank you
to
so
do?
much.
Two.
Two.
Yeah,
Um,
you know how to work the door.
I do.
I come here so early to make sure
I'm
some.
sorry.
Kimberly, you wanna work the door? Do you need help setting up
I'm just worried
AV?
about my ability to get here in time to do that before the meeting. That's
I can do that. I can open the door.
Okay.
Is there an alarm system?
No,
You
no.
can give me the
It's an alarm
rundown.
system.
I'll show you how to do it today.
I
On the
learned
way
that
out,
the
I'll
hard
show you
way.
what to do.
Okay, sir. Thank
Okay, you
you.
got it.
And we'll open the doors for the next meeting.
So you're doing December 3rd, and then do we need somebody for?
Oh, yeah, you definitely do. I'm gonna be in Hanoi on the 17th.
I don't mind
That's-
learning to do it. and
that's
doing
still
it all the
amazing.
time.
Just
That's
check in
fine.
on December
Yeah.
3rd and then plan for the next.
I can just do both meetings. I don't mind. Honestly, I'm not being here.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Can I ask the procedural question? What is the procedure for getting somebody like Charles Gardner under contract to MCC?
You know, I wonder if we should talk to the lawyer. You have Tim Fox's, you know how to share that, or do you want me to do that?
Wouldn't it be a standard MOU and just?
Why would you need to speak to the lawyer? We don't have the authority.
We don't have a contract.
It's,
I know, but we could do an MOU.
I bet that guy will give us a thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it's worth confirming that, because it's different than us buying a computer and getting, spending money out of our account and or submitting receipts if we were doing that.
And who should sign the contract? Should it be Evan? Should it be me?
It should be you and the treasurer who's writing the check.
So that's a good question though, because, in other circumstances, there's some liability that comes with signing the contract, right? And so what liability are we willing to absorb, or are we able to absorb?
Well, but it's a
without-
standard contract, so if there's a breach of contract, then the liability only comes into play if there's a breach, not necessarily anything else.
And because of that, maybe if Tim has his own contract that he would like to use,
Right.
it would have the county's indemnification language.
So Claire and Kimberly send an email to Tim and ask if there's additional factors that we need to consider?
Claire's just delegating that to Chris.
Well, I can do it.
That would
I
be-
can do it.
Because, you know, do we pay him
You are
half
chair, I
now,
think
half
that's
when he
appropriate.
finishes, half for deliverables? Do we pay him all at the end? Do we pay him all at the beginning?
That's. And the contract stuff.
He'll put that in his contract, what he wants.
Yeah, it's a negotiation, but what do you think about for liability? Where would you think there's liability? That, and part of those.
There's always
There's always
indemnification
something.
possible. We contract.
Well, it's usually on his side, right?
Right,
That's
40
like
is all
him,
right.
because he's the one who has to deliver.
The only person that I can think of having liability would be him not delivering the actual written deliverables, and that would then become litigated, litigious, and
I have to sign things all the time and make it seem like I'm responsible for everything bad happening.
well, you are. That's the way it works. When you're a
But
grown
it
up.
falls down.
Sounds like
playing
being a
pockets.
parent.
It's usually the one being.
It's a parent.
contracting.
If any doors breaks on my child, I am responsible.
I don't see how we would have. Maybe I'm not understanding.
Well,
what
I mean,
you
there's
think.
lots of things, right? Something happens to the facilitator on site or
But that's covered by the site.
Insurance on the site.
maybe.
No, it is. Crystalline said that they have insurance to cover anything
We're not doing
that
her
takes
the-
place on site.
We're not going for.
Yeah, we're probably gonna do the library.
But even though the public library has.
Yeah.
Insurance.
They have a contract too.
Yeah,
Um,
contract.
Theirs is easier, the senior center
I would
contracts.
just- I think Chris is right that it would be good just to cover all the bases and make sure that there's nothing we aren't thinking about.
So before I write a check, I'll wait for you to hear back from Tim Fox.
And he may not ask for payment up front. I mean.
That's the other thing. Will you be responsible for kind of sending an email to the group, hey, Kevin and Claire, we're ready to move forward. He wants a $1,500 deposit kind of thing, like, can that happen?
Yeah.
All right.
Because we've already made all the decisions, there's nothing else that we need to vote on at this point.
Yeah.
So I think we can talk fairly freely, I think.
And we can break up the disbursements.
So things that came up tonight that I want to just check and make sure what people want to do with before we quit. We'll do something with transit later. We will do something with safe parking in Palo Pacifica later. The Lazarus thing that she was talking about, we'll do later. The CARES thing we'll do later. The bypass thing Greg was talking about, I would like to figure out exactly what they want, because it's not clear to me, so if he tells me what he wants. And it's clear to me, and it feels like something the group might support, I might write a letter and put it on consent for next week to see what people think about it. What do you think?
It's fine with me. I think that sounds fine.
Okay,
I am, and I have some concerns, so I would like for us to actually maybe agendize that and talk about it briefly. Before we plunge ahead with the letter.
so maybe not consent, maybe, what.
I mean, I'm the
We'll
only
think
one
about
that
doing
has
something about it
concerns.
next.
Well, his support is, he's asking for support to get it out before, December.
Well,
December 25th.
I'd
But
like
that's
to-
unclear to me why.
Because
Right.
Because that's their deadline that they're
for the waiver.
for the waiver itself.
State of emergency.
Well, they're not gonna clean that whole many acres before December 31st.
No, I know, but if they can get their letter of support in and get a grant to do it, it happens at a later point. What he's saying is that is the
Oh, I see.
deadline cutoff.
Okay,
So us
But it
writing
will
a
happen.
letter,
It's a credit.
so you would prefer to have it perhaps agendized,
Yeah, even if we just have a 10 or 15-minute conversation.
if there is such a thing, yeah. Okay, all
Um,
right, so we won't write a letter yet, we'll just,
I mean, there's more than just that. There's, there's a CEQA exemption involved. There's a potential transfer of land to
What do you say,
another
separate that?
entity.
He wants to separate
That was
that issue.
You know, I'm gonna interject. I felt like this was not something we should get involved in.
I have that general feeling. I
Yeah.
do not want to, I shouldn't say that. I agree.
it just seems like there's a lot more
Yeah,
that
this
we
is
don't know
not, we
than
should
do
not say
know.
it's okay to like have someone forget about CEQA.
Yeah,
I mean, that's not our
Well,
response,
I don't think we should.
you know.
But
Okay,
Not a,
so,
don't
so,
forget.
so,
I mean,
No.
they want an exemption.
An exemption and the C will fall under classes. So if your project fits within the description of that class, that exemption class.
With the time that we have in.
Oh, I could-
in
I could
in
never
this
figure that
year,
out.
I don't think we would have enough of a in-depth conversation to
I just
make
think
an
it's,
informed
it's a
decision.
group of our constituents who are asking for some. That's all I'm saying, so if the agenda, just to say,
Yeah.
yay or nay, that's fine, but they are asking, who's asking.
To absolutely confirm the things that we've just said would be an important driver as to whether or not we would take it up, and I think that that merits a conversation.
they have an adversarial relationship with some of the state government, and they want us to be intervene for them for that, and that feels like an awkward position.
Yeah.
Ray did ask us to write a letter. Did we write a letter that Ray requested
Code.
for Seal Cove and the release of the documents?
No, but I talked to GMWSD about that. And according to them, there was an easy solution. I relayed that solution to Ray. And I don't know what they did with it.
So can we just ask Ray if there's a withdrawal of his request that we write a letter to them?
No, he doesn't, it wasn't a formal statement. It was like, it was a.
They did ask for a letter of support from us to release the.
That's right, and so that I think that if they were going to do a letter review at the next meeting, it should be that, or if Ray doesn't want it, then take it out.
I told Ray that I thought I had a solution for him and that I would wait to hear from him as to whether that worked before we get a.
I just wonder if he's having sheriff exhaustion.
I'm sure he is. But the pool, I was thinking of writing a letter saying, good luck with your pool. And
I will use it if it's approved.
I love water.
yeah, and putting it on consent, does anybody have a strong feeling about that?
I actually thought it was a really good idea. I didn't know why.
But he wants,
Steve
he
was
wants,
so being
he,
happy
he
about
wants
it.
to make it so that it can be a public. With public time, not just,
Public maintenance.
well,
It's funding.
He wants Ray to fund it.
He has to be agendized. So the question, he said that he would come back if he could be agendized. I wonder if you feel like it's something that you want to put on.
Get
the
out
agenda.
of that, it's in vain.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He said, if you have more questions, I would gladly come back to be.
Or you could call him. I think the best thing to do is to email him and ask him your questions if you have questions. He can't come back. We don't have time on our agenda.
I would like to email him and ask him like of the the budgetary stuff, how maintenance, like what does that look like? Who's it, where is it coming from?
you said it was $650 a year.
And
For all that
it's
stuff.
in Happy Bay, it's not in the Midcoast, so. we have
It's
to-
not even in our jurisdiction. I would say,
So
have a nice pool, we'll come visit.
That's kind of what I'm saying.
Yes.
that's why I was gonna ask, like, how we. I mean.
I think that's a question I had too, is how would it be available,
Us,
to us and
And the people that we're responsible for have no dog in this show at all, and I just say, good luck.
It's closer than any other current.
I mean, we all want it, but.
To use
Yes,
it.
we all want it. But I don't know how we, for Half Bay High School, I don't know.
And some of this is
We're
according
talking
to the
about
school board
getting rid of
inaccurate.
the buildings, right?
What?
They're talking about removing 2 of the modular or mobile buildings on the premises to put in the pool, is what this says. So they would be removing 2. Anyways, it sounds like it would be a bag of worms for us to get involved. It's personal.
So if we write a lukewarm letter of good wishes, that would be acceptable to people.
I think so.
Okay.
Cause I wanna just add a little something about the pool. Burlingame has a pool at their high school. It has time in the morning, in the afternoon for adult swimming lessons for the community.
And
things like
senior
that.
swimming program.
Senior swimming, but that pool was funded by people from Hillsborough. They kind of own that pool. It's on their property. So it requires a ton of money. So opening it up, I just want to say that the situation is slightly different. So I don't know.
Pacifica also similar, except I guess they own a pool.
The town of City of Pacifica?
I think the school is.
No, the city is of Pacifica.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
They open up for swimming, so my kids, yeah, that's public, there's public stuff happening there.
That's our closest option.
Yeah.
Pacifica or potentially Half Moon Bay in 3 years.
I feel like it's a nice to have thing. But when I look at this long list of things we have to write letters in support of, it falls to me to the bottom of the pile. If we have to triage what we want to spend our time on.
I mean, I think you guys are in a very precarious situation where you have to be very critical about the next two agendas. And that just does not seem to, I think your idea of writing a nice warm letter of good luck with the pool is a good idea. Just to say the MCC, here's the
You need
MCC.
how much a membership costs.
Yeah, please. Do we get
Yeah, we know.
do we get a discount if we write this letter?
Okay, so that's everything I wrote down during the meeting that we need to.
So there's also the lighting thing we were gonna write to Camille. And
The dirt.
I've since forgotten what her deadline was for the changes to the standards.
And I emailed Camille, by the way. I emailed her to ask her about, she made dueling comments about enforceable versus non-enforceable. And homes that have already been permitted, built and have lighting established in their home is not enforceable. They can knock on the door or send them something and say, would you consider, but it's not enforceable.
But she did ask for written response to the changes to her
Right.
documentation.
Yeah.
I only asked about that one thing, so.
We might be able to do that. I don't know. We have a chock full agenda for next time.
I feel like there's one other letter we promised that's not on here.
But who could, if we were to take that up, because it comes up lots. Who could start drafting?
You wanna do that, Tim?
I certainly couldn't.
I mean, I don't have, in terms of the dark skies and the ordinance and what she was wanting, I do not think that I have the breadth of knowledge to start drafting that letter.
So I'm happy to work with members of the community to start drafting that letter.
Yeah, it comes up so often.
Members of the community
Agreed. I
have
think
reminded
the
me
minute,
that
for
we
sure.
can reach out for help if we don't have the bandwidth.
Dan
to
would,
draft
Dan would be happy to help draft
You
that
know,
letter.
and we can steer it to the way we want it to be enforced, but,
He's here.
I think because she's asking for it while she's updating the.
Oh, Dan is here.
That's more
Steve's here, too.
pressing versus, trying to deal with the RV stuff, right?
Yeah,
For example,
and
like
then-
she's trying to finalize that, like.
And Dan does have, I mean, he
So-
has the background and he's done a lot of the
well,
work
I
on that.
think Steve Terry also has an interest in
Yeah.
that, and before we call on Steve, I see his hand raised, there is another thing, we have been asked over and over, as I was looking at the minutes of October 8th. We have been asked over and over multiple times to draft a letter in opposition to the parking lot, the proposed parking lot on the Burnham Strip. And I guess I'm wondering,
To Harbor District,
yeah,
the Harbor District ones or?
No, the community has asked us.
Harbor District proposal, the community has asked us multiple times now, could we write
I'm sorry.
a specific letter in opposition to this parking lot?
Yeah, they did.
I'm bringing it up because it, I'm hearing it verbally, I'm hearing it at meetings, it was in the minutes. What do we think about that?
We
And
lose our objectivity if we do.
Can I,
Oh, yeah, because of the stakeholder thing, all that stuff. That we just talked
can
about.
I offer something on that? Cause I agree wholeheartedly that we lose our objectivity, but I wonder if there is a middle ground with this letter to encourage the Harvard District to take into consideration the alternatives that are being presented, to potentially reach out to one of 8 community groups that have started change.org campaigns and listen to what their concerns are in a real world way. There's tons on social media about how they do not feel listened to. And I wonder if we could write a letter that is softly encouraging, since we have no mandate and no ability to require them to do it, if we could write a letter saying that we are speaking on behalf of the community who has asked for this, can you consider this?
Well,
That's what we've done, right, in our previous letter, didn't we advocate?
We've asked for some fairly specific things, like when we did the neg deck review for GCSD, there were very specific items that we would ask for. I'm just saying preemptively, if that was the tonality of the letter, I think that would be a nice letter.
GCS, the Harvard District just requested that I give them all the emails and all the public comments that we ever got from anybody on that.
Sure, okay, here.
Yeah, and I declined to do that because I don't really believe in giving emails that were sent to us to somebody else. It feels like a violation of.
But we also do know that from some summation and kind of quantifying those comments, I have only gotten, please tell the Harvard District to not build this parking lot. And I myself have an opinion about it and I'm not in favor of it. So I know that we have to stay impartial and in trying to do so. Could we write a letter like that, Kimberly and Claire? Could we write a letter that asks Harvard District to reach out to some of these groups? I'd be happy to provide the two that I know of, and
I'd vote to stay out of it. I'm gonna vote that way. I'm gonna vote no to that because we're already doing our part.
your vote is a no as well.
What? Yes.
I thought that in response to listening to the community outpouring of concern about it, that we decided we need to do something, and what we plan to do is have this meeting. Isn't that the?
Yes, that's a better way of saying what I said.
I think it's instead of writing a letter that specifically took sides, I thought that we saw our role, our impartial role, as being one of trying to facilitate this coming together of all these stakeholder agencies.
And I was only trying to say that
At
maybe
the
an
end,
letter
end of
might be
this,
helpful, but
when we have the what you guys call deliverables, one of the deliverables might be, hey, write a letter to do this. Yeah.
Oh, the thinking about this, because I get what you're saying, but it is true that our community has asked us to send a letter
that does.
to somehow represent what the community is saying to them. I know they heard it in the meeting, but they are asking us to write the letter.
And they're asking Claire for every single comment that's ever been sent. I mean, Jesus Christ is the Bible.
First letter, that was, you know,
We did mention.
a majority of community sentiment that doesn't want this parking lot, so.
But now it's escalated into, not only have we asked MCC to do this, but now it's turned into a multiple change.orgs with thousands, not just 8,000, but thousands of signatures. And we still haven't gotten any responses from you. And I'm not trying to besmirch the Harvard District in any way, but as Connie is saying, we have been asked to address it. And if we could find a neutral way to take up our charter, which is to advocate for our community in this way.
Why are they asking for the emails anyway? What's the?
They want to control this entire process.
Are they gonna go after?
They always pay for our meeting. They
I know they offered a facilitator, but if they're offering to pay.
We have about a $5,000 was that budget for our meetings. There's the grant
So
program.
what the emails?
they are trying to present a picture of themselves reaching out to the community in every way possible. And they're I think dealing with the fact that Ray wrote that letter to them saying, please include the MCC in everything you do. And so if they can get us to do what they want us to do, then they feel like they're gonna do.
Here's an idea, and it's just a suggestion. Can I write up a proposal of what a letter would look like that would maybe kill two birds with one stone, in the sense that it gives GCSD the feedback that we have collected.
G60.
I'm sorry, the Harvard District. the overwhelming feedback and the tone that it has taken, and encourage them to reach out to these groups that have organized independently and on their own. And I mean, it's a suggestion, it's a concept of an idea. I'm sorry for saying that out loud. But I just want to say that we have been asked to do it, and there is a way to say, no, we're not going to send you every email sent. But the overwhelming consensus remains this. Here are these groups. Here are these groups that have organized independently, and the leaders of said groups.
I think we know this.
I know that, but we're, like Connie said, we're still being asked, like Chris said, we're still being asked.
Well, we can respond with, we hear you, we really want to support you. But here's our plan of how we're trying to solve this problem, and right now we can't write a letter, or we can later.
Do we want to hear from the community members who have their hands up?
Sure. Yeah, I can't see who's got their hand up.
Is that Steve?
I think Steve Terry does. Yes.
Steve, go ahead, please.
Oh, hey, I didn't think I had my hand up, but sure, I'll be happy to comment on this thing.
Oh, man.
You do have
Wasn't prepared. Yeah, so you guys are having a neat discussion about like whether it's appropriate for you to write a letter or not. But I mean, my take would be you're sort of representing the community as a channel to the supervisor. And so if the community is saying with the very heavy lopsided voice that we disapprove of this, and it seems like you're all of kind of like mind as well, from what I can tell, why would you not sort of vocalize that or capture that in a letter saying this is how our community feels, that we think this way? So
Because we're sponsoring this meeting of all the stakeholders, which is based on non-biased positions. We don't want to say, hey, we hate this thing, we want you to come talk about it, thing we hate about it.
By the way,
We want
Steve,
them
it
to be-
include the Harbor District.
We want them to talk to each other and find some common ground, and maybe that's idealistic, but if we've already taken a stand beyond what we've already taken, which we have taken a stand.
well, what if you don't take a stand? What if, I mean, at the risk of sounding sort of negative, which I don't want to do, is or disrespectful, is this is kind of the stance that Mueller is taking. He's saying, oh, I won't take a position at all because then I become biased and I can't vote on things. And okay, well, sure, but I don't think you need to take that position. But what if you don't take a position? What if you say, this is how our community feels overwhelmingly? We want to communicate that to you, that this is how the community feels. So you're not taking a position, you're relaying a message to the supervisor.
To the supervisor, to the Harbor District.
Well, you tell me, Claire, I mean, is it appropriate for you to write letters to the Harbor District, or are you only supposed to?
They're asking us to write letters to them.
Okay. I like that idea.
Community's asking us to write letters to them. We could write letters to the supervisor. That might be cleaner.
No, I thought since you're advisory committee to the supervisor that maybe you should only communicate to him, but I like the idea of you writing letters to the Harbor District. I think it's a great idea. Or to the supervisor, CC Harbor District, or vice versa, something like that.
I could come up with just a rough schematic of what it would look like and keep it neutral with that, with you guys giving the guidance that it should not be heavy-handed, that it should be neutral, but that it conveys just what Steve has just said, that our community continuously has told us that they're not in favor of this, and the outcome being that they would like you to reach out to them to talk about the alternatives that they've discussed and developed and worked really hard on.
I would not like to say, go talk to those 12 people.
I mean, I would submit something to you for consideration for many edits. Like, I'm just saying, I would come up with a skeleton and send it to the group.
So you can't send it to the group.
To Claire and-
What?
Did we agendize this for the next meeting?
I just want to.
We're sort of getting into a discussion here that we probably.
What do we have not agendized? Yes.
Well, I was, we'll just just one other thing. The letter we wrote was about parking issues in totality.
That's right.
It's not specific to the parking issue. So I think there's a difference in saying that, we wrote this. We did not write anything specific to the harbor. We just talked about general parking issues.
Well, would you look, okay, the other thing, before we stop, that we were considering agendizing next time. Is we could have an all-night meeting, is Hunter Mountain, which we continually struggle with. And there has been more construction on Montero Mountain by AT&T or PG&E or something like PG toward Pacifica. They're building a road where there used to be a tiny little trail, and it's going to be a real road. And we thought that we might want to agendize that too. So,
But it sounds like they're already underway.
Yeah,
Like
they
the
are.
real road going.
and
in.
we don't know if they had any permits
That's
or
right.
anything.
Without,
Oh, that's problems.
No, it's not, it's state park then.
Pools at land.
it's state park and then it overlaps the bypass land, which is supposedly in state parks, under state parks. Stewardship, so.
But what are we taking on that we can actually do anything with before December, end of December? I think writing a letter on behalf of the community for the parking lot is a small little thing. And the other seems quite large.
It seems that this doesn't require a letter. If they're doing something without a permit, that's against the law.
We've seen no evidence of one.
Yeah, and do I just call the sheriff and say, listen, can you please stop these
It's not
people?
that simple.
Again, it's more likely that they're working within an access easement. But their interpretation of creating safe access for their crews along that easement is in excess of what the community of, mountain recreational users feel like is necessary.
I gotta go with that. I'm gonna go look at it. I'll take some. I don't expect a PowerPoint on this, but I'm gonna go ahead and make some pictures, take a look at what.
Yeah, it's a fast moving train, and Greg admits that, but he's doing work.
But so do you have a sense of the next meeting, what's already agendized and what could be added that would fill it out without it being 11 o'clock at night?
One thing is Silco is supposed to be ready to talk about. I don't know that it will be, but that if that is, it's just kind of
I
like
was here.
it's got to buy.
Yeah.
What else did we?
Caltrans's highway report should be out by then.
Yeah, Caltrans is supposed to have the report on what they're going to do with the road in the long term.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's like urgent, but it's important. What else did we talk about? We talked about the bypass. We talked about Montero.
Yeah, I think those were the things. We decided that the legislative update would happen in the new year because Tim Fox comes anyway to our thing, to our retreat, and that it would make more sense to have the legislative update in the next segment instead of this year.
I do have a suggestion. It's kind of selfish, but the actual proposal to move our website over to WordPress has been gotten 3 separate competitive bids and is ready to be presented and could be voted on. And that process, which I know would be more daunting if we did it in January and February when we're more active, would be a good process to have done over the holidays.
My concern, which I've tried to convey to you, is that not everybody here understands what you're proposing. That not everybody here agrees with it. Not everybody here.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm ready to agendize it. If you would like to put something on the agenda, I'm saying that I could explain that.
Well, you said you could explain it in 15 or 20 minutes. I think it's gonna take a more of a process.
I would work with Connie and Scott, who was a part of that committee, to explain it, but.
Well, I see this as something that's not urgent. That would be.
I disagree.
Why do you think it's urgent?
Here are the reasons. moving it over to WordPress puts us automatically into a place where we can quantify anything that we're discussing in this council room. It is something that takes people's registration from their voting registration. If they sign on to a letter or a letter writing campaign or a poll, they are e-signed, which means their signatures are vetted already. It is something that any agency, including our elected officials, could use as leverage for accessing and allocating resources to something that we're working on as a body, which includes tons of stuff that they have to then look at how they allocate resources to. That's one way. One, WordPress is a far more user-friendly version.
I
It
was
doesn't-
listening for the urgency.
I'm giving you the urgency.
This isn't urgent.
It is urgent because Dave has said it is really time consuming for him to upload things.
He's not gonna do it.
This will make that we have a person, an admin assigned to us that is ready to upload anything at a drop of a dime. So it's more urgent to the group than you think, Claire, because you don't understand it. So
That was nice, I appreciate that.
I'm just you seem to say the whole group doesn't understand it, but it's not actually that. The fact of the matter is moving to WordPress, moving to something that is more user-friendly, moving to something that the community can actually interact with is important. And also keeping Lisa Ketchum's site in a legacy state is important and something that the community wants. It is something that we are actually ready to present on fairly quickly and easily and answer questions fairly quickly and easily. And it's not that complex. I think everybody in this room, maybe not you, understands what WordPress is and what that would allow us and free us up to do as a council.
Yeah, that's wonderful, but I don't really like the insults.
I haven't given you any insults.
I hear them.
Can we not do this, Claire? You're not the victim. You have done so many things that are inappropriate, like contacting council members on your own time, asking their opinions about different things, asking them to run for office, asking them to say whether they're interested in something, that things that are actual violations. So do not tell me that I'm insulting you when I'm telling you that I'm not. Again, you need to take it
wrong
down.
for me to ask people if they're interested in an office.
I absolutely think that it is wrong for you to sidebar people and ask them to run for office. I think
Why
that
am I
affects you.
gonna do it in front of everybody here? I
We're
can do
going
it.
with the reservation here a little bit. So we were talking about agenda items.
And I proposed one and you totally diverted it into the Claire show.
No, I did
So,
not. I
yes,
said
you
it's
did.
not.
You said that I was insulting you. I
Yes, you
wasn't. I was
You
not.
said, you don't understand it.
I did not. I didn't turn my head like that. I'm not as flaunting as you. I said, you simply don't understand it.
Guys need to stop.
This is not flattering to me.
No, it's not. Thank you to the chair of our council for bringing us to this embarrassing state.
So Kevin, I hear you that this is important to you.
It's
and
not
that
just
you-
important to
And then you
me.
do feel a sense of urgency. I guess my question would be, if we had this in January, would it be that much difference than if we?
Yes, because the porting over of all of the data that currently exist on our site takes an amount of time. The reason that I thought it would be important for the next agenda or the final agenda would be to get it started so that when we're back in full swing and working on business items, we have a site that works with us, in tandem with us. And most of the brunt work has been done during the holidays when most of us will be gone. That is why I suggested it.
Okay.
Thank
So-
you for asking, Kimberly.
So I understand that. I'm a little nervous and I'll tell you why. Because I was present when the last migration of a website to a new platform happened. And because all the people on this council are volunteers with different levels of experience and they're changing. We all won't be here at some point and other people will be in these seats. Migrating a website and learning all that stuff takes a lot of time.
So just for the record, we wouldn't have to learn anything. An admin comes with
And
this.
I have worked on WordPress before.
Okay.
I found it.
So we do have an assigned admin that maintains it for us. We don't have to maintain it. It's built into the cost. It was merely a suggestion of something that could be agendized and have a short-ish discussion. If it was something that needed to then be deferred to January or another time, fine. I simply was making a suggestion and I felt absolutely attacked by Claire during the process of doing it.
It's because we've talked about it several times.
And
So-
no response.
Oh, yes. you have-
So should we, how do we all want to handle this? Do we, I mean, do other people feel strongly we should agendize this topic for the next meeting or?
You just asked for a space to fill. That's all I was suggesting.
Well, it's not like we have space to fill, we have without, we just went through a whole list of things that really could be seriously considered next time. But, you know, whatever you guys want.
I'm sorry, because now I've lost track of the list, to be honest with you, so.
So
Harbor
potentially,
District Letter.
Harbor District letter, potentially, potentially Montera Mountain.
Paramount.
Sorry, I
yeah,
have a
for this
list
road
there.
that's going on that.
Without
Well,
this,
already-
what is it for me?
Seal
Yeah.
code,
This
Steel
is
coat.
for resale, right?
Right.
Caltrans.
What do we do, just for the report
The
that's coming out?
report would be coming out and I guess whatever their recommendations are.
But is it out?
No,
What is that?
It's not-
So this is, it would be an
No, it's-
agenda item if it was out.
Oh.
So if it doesn't come out, it won't be on.
I picked something that was ready. That's what I did.
So we don't have the contract, but we don't have the sale code report, so.
The Caltrans report supposedly is gonna be released on the 14th.
You don't want now.
I like you guys just said the ship has sailed on the road we built without a permit.
Maybe.
Ish.
They're up there offering.
So, I mean, if there's strong feeling that we should put this on the next agenda, then.
It could just be a starter of a conversation, Kimberly. Honestly, if people don't understand things, if it gets really nuanced, we can punt it. I have no problem with that. We talked about needing something to insert that had like some walls around it. And that's all I was opting for.
well,
So,
I'd like to say something if I can. When I say people don't necessarily understand it, I don't necessarily mean the technical stuff, I mean I think we may have different views of what the MCC is supposed to be doing. You see it as an advocacy group, I do not see it as an advocacy group.
The charter is here. I actually printed it out. We are actually an advocacy group for the unincorporated coastside to the Board of Supervisors. It's in our bylaws and I brought it with me because I wondered if you would ask.
Well, I'm glad you know.
But I'm glad I was prepared to. We are an advocacy group.
But I don't see us as a group that focuses on maybe writing petitions and getting signatures and that.
Ray Mueller at our first meeting said that if we were to ever find ourselves in the capacity of quantifying concerns, that would bring to him the ability to go to the full Board of Supervisors to potentially allocate resources for the business items that we are working on, end quote.
I take the MCC as yes, representing the community and advocating in some way, definitely for the community. But also in providing a forum for the different parts of the community to express what they need and to have some dialogue, to reach solutions. And or, you know, to be like a sort of almost a governing body, which I know we're not.
We have no
but-
governance.
What?
We have no governance. And what would be the problem of you having an idea that somebody came in and presented to you and said, Claire, the sky is falling. It's really falling. And you saying, okay, we have a website that we can put this up on and people can go to e-sign and quantify how big of a concern this really is, whether it was really just 10 people or whether it's an entire community that's being affected by the sky falling.
That would actually be helpful to quantify it, because I think that often.
And that's something that would happen within that. And that's what I mean about user friendliness. Like if any one of these issues came up and we as a body said, we collectively don't know all the pieces, but now we have a website where we can put up a placeholder, hot topics or whatever it is. And somebody can click on it and say, yes, this is a problem. I live at this address. Here's my e-signature and my email address. And then you're able to say to Ray, these are registered voters within an unincorporated coast side. They represent our constituents. There is a problem here.
I don't want us to end up like next door.
No, it's not like next door at all. It's not. I promise you, it's not.
It's not a discussion. We don't want a discussion.
There is really no discussion. Like, if say you're still the chair and you wrote a synopsis of what the issue was, they would be signing on to that. That's it.
I don't want to, because I don't think it's urgent, but. And I don't know what else is gonna be on, is actually going to be on the agenda. So I don't wanna sit here and say, yes, I would love.
Okay, I withdraw my.
You don't have to withdraw it. I'm
I'm
just,
gonna go for the night. Have it. Can we? Are we done?
no, we're not. We're still deciding what to do. It's
This
just
is an
a-
example for all of you. I hope you're taking this in. This is how I am treated on a regular basis. And if you think it's fair and you think it's valid, say nothing at all. But this is how I'm treated.
Well, actually, you've been listened to. We did have an argument. But
Kimberly has
other
treated me
people
with
have
respect, and you
other
have
people
yelled
have
at me.
listened to.
Kimberly has treated me with respect, asking me prompting questions. You have yelled at me. And you smirked at me and did all this drama that wasn't part of anything that came from me.
Okay.
I'm
So
becoming-
since Kimberly is treating me with respect and asking you appropriate questions, why me?
Kimberly, if you would like it to be 15 minutes, I can work on 15 minutes. Please advise me. I have felt very mistreated by you this meeting and multiple other meetings. I think that you are unfit to be chair of this council. I think you have a very skewed perception of what the bylaws are and the Brown Act, to be completely frank. Have a good night, everybody.
It's definitely an item to add to the list for agenda, but you guys will decide what the priority is once you see this stuff.
I don't want to dwell upon what had just happened. I just want to move forward.
Thank you.
That's all I want to do. What is, it is, so,
There, you set the agenda.
yes.
I mean, but honestly, the council, we equally represent the community. And we all have a voice, and I'm concerned that I don't want Claire to feel like the full weight of some things are just all on her. So do we, you know, if that's your decision, I support you 100%.
Okay, it's been my decision because we've been discussing this for about 6 weeks. And I really felt like it would be better done first of the year. But it sounds like we got a lot of stuff piling up for the first of the year. So
I
The election, right, the next meeting.
yeah,
And what else is on the next?
we have 2 meetings left. One meeting is the next one, which we were talking about. The next one is, I think Kevin's gonna do a financial report, which should be brief. I'm planning on putting together, I sent everybody an email this evening, maybe it's in there. I was planning to put together a report of what we've done this year, what still needs to be followed up on, what new relationships we've established with various community groups, and just sort of an overall view. And then we were doing the elections.
So that's the 17th.
Yeah, that's something.
And your feedback on that, is that what you got the email you said for information on that?
I sent an email saying, anybody that wanted to talk to me about directions and leadership for the new year, please let me know. I'd be happy to talk.
Okay.
I mean, clearly, Kevin aside, if any one of us felt strongly about a particular agenda item for any reason, I mean, what do we think about how that dynamic works? Because I'm concerned this dynamic is not constructive, it's uncomfortable. How do we solve this?
I think we need to do it legislatively. We had a question. That was. There was two options. It could be, we could have stopped the discussion and voted on it. And it would be. Are we going to have this as an agenda item? In this year? Or are we gonna push this as an agenda item for next year? That's one way. The other way is we elected Claire as the chairperson and they set the agenda, period. That's in the bylaws. So you can either say, listen, or an impasse, let's just vote and we will be done with the issue, right?
Well, I think so. I think there's an element of power split. And, which I apologize for. But as I say, this particular discussion has been going on for a good 6 weeks. I've said repeatedly, we're not gonna do it this year. And I think when it came up, it was certainly is something we could have considered, and we did consider it a little bit. We may still do it. It felt like a power split. And I guess I reacted to that.
Maybe, like I said, you can do it without involving emotion by just saying, let's bring it up as a vote. Let's vote on this, period. Be done with it. And it could be over.
It's probably a good idea.
It's a idea. So, but your question was, how do we handle this in the future? If we come to conflict, let's bring it to a vote. What do you think about that?
I'm comfortable with that, if other than that.
Yeah.
But. I was gonna say, but somebody has to set the priority, knowing what's coming in, so you still have to have that. You can vote, but things don't happen, right? Suppose none of these reports come in, what are you gonna, somebody's gotta decide to put it in the agenda.
Exactly.
Yeah, so you have to have that right.
Right. And that's why I said,
Right.
Claire's the chairperson.
Yeah.
You do, there's no power struggle. You have all the power. And, go ahead.
Say, add to that, be prepared to emphasize what you think is urgent versus non-urgent, considering in this case, the time of year, end of the year, the pile up of issues.
I think that's what I was trying to do, but I guess it got away.
I'm in support of whatever you say, by the way. You're the chairperson. I hope I made that myself very clear.
But that's what Tim Fox said.
Okay.
There's a lot of backstory, but it's not appropriate.
So, all right, so let's move to the next agenda item. Are we clear on what we need? Are we clear on what we are we talking about future agendas?
I think that's what we're trying to.
Okay.
Well,
I'm sorry, sorry, I have to go back, did we decide the letter about the Harvard, about the Harvard District Park is warranted or not? Did we have to vote on that?
Maybe we should vote on it.
Yeah.
I kind of thought I was hearing that we wanted to sort of wait before we weighed in, but.
I'm torn. I really, when people say, please write something, I feel like we should write something, but I also feel like. It's not the right time.
Well, isn't the letter going to, right?
If it goes to right,
Well, Gus, do you have a thought?
What if what is it we be waiting for if now is not the good time? After our stakeholder meeting.
Okay, after the stakeholder meeting, which is in January.
Yes.
I'm fine as long as we make that clear to the community that here's what we're doing and why.
How would the stakeholder meeting And I was saying that the community.
I mean, I'm not opposed to a letter that says,
This is what the
was it
community
you
said.
that put it, that it could say, sorry, it's a lot, this meeting's going on for a long time. That it could just sort of be put in a neutral manner and say that this is what we're hearing from our community, and we've been asked to let you know that it's.
It wasn't me, but that's what I heard too, yeah.
I'm okay with that. It's not, we're not taking a side, we're just saying, hey, this is what we hear.
What I said was, I thought we were asked by the community, hey, you guys gotta do something.
Yeah.
And our response was in order to preserve impartiality. But also to advocate on a bigger picture, concern was to be this meeting.
What if we say we are trying to preserve our neutrality, but we're just telling you what people think? Which is, I think, what you're saying. And I'm fine with Kevin drafting something out, fine with me, if he wants to.
Good.
Okay, and then we'll review it and vote on it.
Yep.
Okay,
That's for the next meeting.
But I also would encourage people when they write letters to write them with other people, because that tends to shake down some of the problems that are gonna come up. In the community.
If you guys want to work with Kevin to draft them.
Well, I just worked on the last letter, so. Yeah, let's look around about, so.
I'm stretched, I can't.
Okay, I'll do it.
good man.
Thanks, guys.
I hope you're wearing a bulletproof vest. You might be taking bullets. It's okay.
Okay, what else, Claire?
That's it.
Anybody have anything else? Should we adjourn?
I'll just mention one thing, technical to Claire, I did get a conversation with, members from, Congressman McCarty's team about following up on telecommunications. So, they said they would come back around, they're suggesting that we continue to push for the state on the middle mile and make it servicing out everybody fine as well. And, so I let Travis all know, and I around some of the questions that went around from the telecommunications about, the Public Utility Commission mandates about 72-hour backup and things like that, but we're, trying to track it and ask them to track it, so just wanted to let you guys know, still tracking on the telecommunications stuff.
Awesome.
Okay.
You may want these for your minutes. But not to,
No, it's good. We got three more minutes to do, so. Hopefully be back for be the next secretary.
yeah, I definitely like to hear it from somebody.
Nobody.
So I think we should adjourn and have any other.
Recording stopped.
Wow. Okay, so
Yeah.
have you ever tried to use AI to do this?
I do, Dan, some of them. You can't, I mean, they get summarizations at some point, but you have to read through it and you still have to put all the.
It gives you stuff that doesn't make sense.
You
Okay.
have to read it and you can't just go by it. And
I didn't think so.
You can take pieces of it, we have the transcripts.
Yes.
The transcripts, really, I just try to summarize the transcripts. It's still part of it.
Okay, that's hard work. AI can't do it. It's human labor. That's just hard work.
It's a lot of dollars.
Yeah.
I think the thing is, it just needs to be as short as possible. It
Yeah,
needs to
very
be
much.
as summarized as possible.
But if you're trying to give all the community members, what they're saying, that's a lot.
It's a lot of work.
And there's like a lot of people that speaks.
I'll give you these. You know what to do with these? I'm gonna give them to you. I'll be back. I'll take them back.